High school football is back in action for the 2021 season, and it has been a whirlwind, you can say, to get to this point. But finally, high school is back live right here on the Southern Sports Network, presented by Northeastern State University. Welcome into our Week 0, technically, pregame show. My name is Evan Eccleston. Alongside me is Brady Salyers, and it is Week 0, but to a lot of fans in Arkansas side, on the Gravette side, this is Week 1, but Oklahoma, their high school season technically has not quite started yet, but this will count, Brady, so don't take this by any stretch. This game matters. Not only does it matter, but we are finally back in action. Football is finally back.
I agree. I'm excited about it. I count down to this every summer because, honestly, once the Super Bowl's played, it's just kind of a big lull for me. I'm not into NASCAR or any of that other stuff. I'm ready to see somebody knock somebody on their butt and have a good time watching a good football game. The weather here today is great. The wind is light. I'm excited to see what we have here between Gravette and Vian. Some new faces on the field for both, and I just kind of can't wait to see what the night holds.
Neither can we, and we are just absolutely thrilled to be back having live football. And like you mentioned, Super Bowl is the last thing. That was February for these two teams. Last time they took the field was late November, so you know they are both eager to get back on the gridiron as well. Like Brady mentioned, our matchup today, the Gravette Lions from Northwest Arkansas coming over to Oklahoma to play against the 2A Vian Wolverines, what is kind of a conflict, kind of contradictory of two teams. So it should be kind of an interesting matchup as this one plays out. And as we get into our pregame show, we want to start with looking at last season. You can't talk about this season without talking about last season. And Brady, we're going to start with Gravette. Let's get to know these Gravette Lions. Head coach Kelby Bohannon in his third year now for the Lions. Interesting last year, going up 3-7. They've yet to go finish a season above 500 since 2017. So they're looking to get back at the helm and back over that hump. And they have to start with a really good Vian team, one that we'll kind of get into a little bit later, but has shown their might and their strength pretty much constantly every single year. But what we want to look at specifically for Gravette, and Brady, I'll let you elaborate on this. Defense for Gravette last year was not great. It was definitely an area that if you talked to Kelby Bohannon, he would emphasize, yeah, we got to fix that. Their defense for Gravette let up 40 or more points 6 times last year. And you think they only played 10 games. That's more than half their games, allowing 40 or more points. So defensively, Brady, something's got to improve this year.
Everything on defense needs to improve. We look at their roster. Some of the things you're seeing is they're returning 3 seniors here. So as far as senior leadership, they're limited. They have a smaller roster than most schools in the 4A. So the players are really going to have to be in shape and really be dialed in. And most of them are probably going to be playing both ways tonight. I mean, if I'm thinking right, like most cases. So Vian is going to be a tough physical team. Historically, you know, we've played here in the playoffs even back whenever I was playing in high school football, and they play really tough, hard-nosed football. They're gonna run the ball between the tackles and force it up the middle. Your linebackers are gonna have to be on point, and then just when you think you've got all your guys stacked in the box, they're gonna kick it to the outside or over the top, and your corners and safeties are gonna have to be ready.
Let's talk about this Vian team. Last year, another year under Gary Willis, who's just been a phenomenal coach, if you will, in his 6th season. Last year going 9-2, but Brady, we were talking before the game, that's actually one of their worst seasons of all time.
That's the worst season under Gary Willis, yeah, which blew my mind when I was looking at all this stuff earlier. He started in 2016 where they went 10-2, then they went 10-3, then 12-2, 9-2 was last year. So Gary's got a good program. He's been able to. We've talked about players that they lost, you know, pregame. We'll get to that later, but and how they're going to move forward. He's built a great program here. He's been able to pick the right talent, adapt, and plug them into the right position to consistently get to the playoffs, to consistently win district championships, and to consistently compete at a very high level.
When these two teams faced each other to kick off the 2020 season, that game was in Gravette, but it was won by the Wolverines by a final score of 28-6. So Vian does have a little bit of a leg up, and like we mentioned, we'll get into it later on. A lot of pieces missing in Coach Willis' staff this year, and his players this year. But I do want to recap that game last year that I think that game really put kind of a bad taste in their mouth because offense was a huge struggle in that game. A Vian defense that was just incredible, averaging just 11 points given up per game is incredible by any stretch. But that game, Vian held Gravette, Brady, to just 74 rushing yards and 150 passing yards. To start the game off, Coach Bohannon, that's kind of the opposite way for your offense to start a season off. So to avoid a similar result tonight, what do the Lions kind of need to do to kind of change that and have better result this time?
So it's really kind of hard to say, but we'll start out with, right at this point, we don't know who's going to get the starting nod at quarterback for the Lions. So my first thought is, one, we're going to have to protect that new quarterback. If he's getting put on his back early and often, it's going to be a struggle all night. The biggest thing I can think of is it's going to be easiest if you can get the pressure off him using the run. They look like they had a decent-sized line out here this year in warm-ups, so hopefully those guys are ready to roll and are ready to seriously create some holes for those guys. Hopefully they can use the run to open up the pass and keep some pressure off of him as the night goes on. And if they're stacking the box and they're not able to control the run, maybe some short screen passes, some quick little out passes, something just to get the ball out of that young quarterback's hand fast.
I just say, just getting that ball moving, just seeing first downs can go a long way. I don't think that they're going to be able to focus on big plays and touchdowns. They need to focus on the first downs, like you said, 4 yards of play, take those little 5-yard slants, take those 5-yard outs, and run the ball up the middle. The focus on the first downs and the touchdowns will come. And if you can get that moving, some momentum will help carry yourself, and it can definitely go a long way. Well, we're about 20 minutes from kickoff. We're scheduled for a 7 o'clock kickoff here in Vian. We'll take a short break, though, but coming up, we're going to preview this season for both teams, as well as give some predictions, not only for this game, but for some games around the league. So stay with us, as we'll have more right after this.
Today's game is brought to you in part by T-Lake Apparel Company, specializing in sport uniforms and accessories, custom orders to fit your needs and budget. From youth leagues to professional sports, call T-Lake at 580-977-6452. And by Champion Custom Jewelry. Trust a company that can provide quality at a great look to fit your budget. Trust Champion Custom Jewelry. Contact them at 580-977-6452 or on Facebook at Champion Custom Jewelry.
My name's Todd Harden, and I am Todd's Coffee. The reason I do this to begin with is because I really want people to experience coffee. What I'm doing and what other roasters are doing as well is, we're trying to figure out what the bean is trying to tell us. My goal and my customer really is, there's probably 2 out of 10 people that could taste the difference in one of my better roasts versus an average roast. If I can make those people happy, I'm making everybody happy. And so that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to roasting. You can just go to toddscoffee.com. You can get a whole bean, or I'll grind it for you. Either way, there'll be a drop down in there that you can order it that way. So order some coffee.
Hey, Dean Blandino here. And guess what? Football season is right around the corner. And to watch the best live broadcasts in high school sports in Northeast Oklahoma, download the Southern Sports Network app. And check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I just did. Give them a like. It's the best broadcast in high school sports, and not just that area, in the country. Check them out.
The College of Business and Technology at Northeastern State University is where education meets industry. Our in-demand undergraduate and graduate programs have real-world focus with practical workforce applications. Choose from degrees in accounting, marketing, supply chain management, information systems, healthcare administration, data analytics, and more. Lead with experience. from Northeastern State University.
Back here on the Southern Sports Network pregame show, sponsored by Northeastern State University. Evan Eccleston here, Brady Salyers next to me, and it's honestly a pretty beautiful night for a football game, Brady. I can't believe we're in August, late August, and it's actually not too bad.
It feels great out here, like you said, for late August in Oklahoma. I will take it. Last week we had temps with the heat index up over 105 degrees at 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening, which is not fun playing conditions. Today, things are much better. We just looked it up just a few moments ago. It is scheduled to be 88 degrees at kickoff with a 7-mile-per-hour north wind. So playing conditions are good. Wind won't be a huge factor. No heavy gusting winds as far as throwing the ball. And it's out of the north, so it's a crosswind on this field. So wind's not going to be a big advantage for either team depending on which side of the field they decide to defend. So I'm excited to see what happens here tonight, and I'm just thankful for these players that it's not a 105-degree heat index.
I think they're thankful for that as well. As you can see on your screen, 79 by the end of the game should be a lovely night here in eastern Oklahoma. Well, we want to get back into some of our pregame action here as the players are getting their final kind of warm-ups and stretches and preparations. We want to look at this year because we talked about last year and how that can shape a team going to the 2021 season, a year that hopefully sees a little bit more kind of resilientness with both teams, and hopefully for proper preparations, both teams will be well suited. We'll start with the visitors, the Gravette Lions. The big thing, Brady, that really sticks out when you look at this team is the breakdown of experience. What Kelby Bohannon is dealing with is 3 seniors, and that is it. 3 seniors on that team. Now, he does have 16 juniors, so some upperclassmen, but, Brady, when you only have 3 seniors on the team, I mean, how do you prepare, not only as a coach and a player, but when you're facing a really good Vian team with a little experience, how do you prepare for a game like this?
So 3 seniors, like we talked about that earlier, is rough in terms of leadership. But what I am looking at in our pregame notes is we have a really large junior class. We have 16 juniors on this team. And you mentioned that last year, that it wasn't the best of all seasons, but I'm going to look at that and see if we have a senior class of 3. We probably had a lot of what were then sophomores of this 16 playing at a very young age on the high school gridiron that might have benefited them this year. So they took their what came to them. They handled it. They come back again for more this year. They're another year bigger, faster, stronger. So hopefully those seniors can look to that junior class to step up and make a difference here today.
They're going to need them, and when you have 19 upperclassmen, 14 sophomores for Kelby Bohannon's squad, and when we look at the numbers last year for Gravette, they're averaging about 27 points per game, but allowing 38. And we hit on that a little bit a while ago. We're kind of wrapping up last season's as we kind of look on the other side, to the Vian side. Now, you can't ignore, and we talked about what Gary Willis has done here, but he has a huge obstacle this year. The 2021 season is going to be what I would figure a true test for him because of what's missing this year. Now, his class breakdown is drastically different than what Gravette has. 14 seniors and 12 juniors, so 26 upperclassmen for Vian, which is always nice on paper. But they're missing what I call the right trio. Kenyatta Wright, the assistant coach for Vian, his kids and his nephew, they're gone. I mean, Vian's kind of heart and soul of this team centered around Elijah Wright, Solomon Wright, and Javen Wright. Those 3 are all gone. So Elijah and Javen are now at Central Oklahoma. Solomon is at the University of Arkansas, so both able to take the next step and go to collegiate football. But now you have to ask yourself, Brady, if you're Vian, you have your starting quarterback gone, your star linebacker and defensive lineman gone. So yes, you do have a lot of returning pieces, but at the same time, you have a lot of pieces that are missing.
This is where I'm going to go back to the coach. We've looked at what he has done since he came to Vian, which was this is 5th or 6th season here. I think it is maybe his 5th. So back when the right trio were freshmen or maybe not even playing on this field yet, and he has not posted a season with less than 9 wins. So the system works. I don't believe it is broken. And though they might give up a few more than the 10 points allowed from last year, and they may not quite hit that 43.4 points scored, I think the system is going to work. People are going to see that their head coach is still that. He's still there. His system still works. He's still great. And you're going to see that senior class show up and ready to play.
They need to. They're going to need to. This is a Lions team that is hungry to start off kind of on a better foot than last year. Like I mentioned, Vian beat Gravette to start the season off. Final score of that game was actually 26-8. And then shortly after, they got a win against Inola, but then they lost games against Pryor, Elkins, Prairie Grove, Huntsville, which was a 4-game skid for Gravette. So you have to kind of wonder if you can get on a good foot to start the season off, that sets you up really well down the stretch. And kind of the last point I want to hit on for Vian is this is a team that looked like it was destined to possibly win it all. I mean, they were set up beautifully. They had a first-round bye in the 2A state championship playoffs. But then they ran into a really good Metro Christian team. In fact, Metro Christian won the 2A school. So, Brady, you got to wonder, Vian's hungry to win it all this year. Even if they are missing those pieces, you got to think the state championship, it very well could be in their grasp.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be very hard. You're not going to replace that trio. Mm-hmm. That trio, like you said, two of them were playing at UCO, the other one's at U of A. That is a testament to this program, and that is not something that you're going to see replaced a lot in 2A football, and very rarely do you even see it happen in the state of Oklahoma. So props to those guys and for the talents and the hard work they put in, and wish them a good season, of course. But I feel like the Wolverines are going to succeed. You did mention starting off on the right foot, mm-hmm. which getting a win here today is great. If the Lions can pull off a win, it will give them a lot of confidence going into week 2 in Arkansas. This is week 0 here in Oklahoma, and it gets things going. The confidence builder is the most important. But you mentioned some of the teams that they played last year, which I'm familiar with here in Oklahoma. They played Inola. Inola's had a few good seasons. Inola, I think maybe made a small playoff run last year. So getting a win there, that was a good testament to their program kind of turning around. And Pryor, Coach Kenny Davis and what they're doing there at Pryor is a really, really good thing. I know Kenny personally, and he's got that offense just running high octane. So losing to Pryor, I would not count that as a big mark against them, because that was a very good Pryor football team that had their quarterback not got injured in the playoffs. They might have brought home a gold ball. But, I'm excited to see what tonight holds.
And that game against Gravette Pryor was all Pryor in that game. In fact, that was kind of what Lions fans would kind of see as the darker part of their schedule. That stretch of Pryor, Elkins, Prairie Grove, the average score was about 50-20. So that stretch kind of put a bad taste in Gravette's mouth. They did get a win shortly after against Green Forest, but then they ran into arguably the best 4A school in the state of Arkansas with Shiloh Christian, who just did continued Shiloh Christian things ever since the days of Gus Malzahn and Jimmy Dietz at the AD in that spot. They've just continued their tear. And that kind of leads us into some predictions. We're going to get into it a little bit here. We're not going to go into every game in terms of conference play, but I do want to look at a few games that could come in to have some significance this year on both sides. We're going to start with the 2A. Like we mentioned, this is week 0, so a lot of teams not really in action yet in Oklahoma, in the state of Oklahoma. But there is one team that I think Vian fans would take great note of. Victory Christian, is facing Caskia Hall. That was a game that last year when Caskia Hall and Vian played, the final score was 7-6. That went against Vian. That was only one of their 2 losses. So Brady, that Caskia Hall team, a great one. They finished 8-2 last year. Joe Medina went undefeated in conference play. Victory Christian, a 2A school. They're in the District 7. They went 6-6 last year, but a good 4-2 in conference play. I know it can be kind of hit or miss, especially at the start of the season, but you got to think that Caskia Hall team should be good to go again.
Cassia Hall, they are consistent, much like here in Vian. They roll out a good product year after year, bring in great players. Same as Metro Christian, like you mentioned last year. Those programs are always tough to beat. They get elite level talent, and and they show up and they perform. It's I'm always going to be rooting for the public school side of things, of course, because that's just kind of how I feel about that.
Sure.
So I want Vian to take care of business when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, those two teams are great. I don't quite know how I see it shaking out for them this year. Victory, I believe, will have a good season, but I do believe you might see Cassia Hall deep in the playoffs, maybe even playing for a state title.
I mean, they went deep last year, along with Metro Christian, who knocked out Vian. Now, I do want to flip to the Arkansas side because there is a kind of an intriguing game going on in Gravette's division. I just mentioned them, Shiloh Christian. They're taking on a 5A school, Pea Ridge, who's really kind of struggled as of late. Shiloh, 14-1 last year, undefeated in conference play, averaging almost 50 points per game. And Jeff Conaway's crew is just rolling yet again. So always look out for Shiloh. If you're a Gravette fan, you know all about them. But look for Shiloh to continue their run into this year as well. Well, we're almost out of time, but we do have to give predictions for this game. We cannot leave without giving a score and who's going to win. Brady, I'm going to start with you. First, give me the score, and then who's going to win? Who's going to walk out as a victor?
I do think the score is going to end up something about like 42-13 in the favor of Vian.
42-13. Write it down. That's Brady's prediction. For me, I'm going to agree with Vian. It'll be interesting to see how they replace their missing pieces. But I think Gary Willis has another great scheme up his arm, up his sleeve. I don't know if it's going to be that wide. I'm going to lean more. I'm going to say 31-17 will be a little bit closer, but I think Vian kind of in the later portion can really kind of get in a rhythm, kind of get that first half jitters out the way, and really start to propel themselves forward.
The big factor being those two quarterbacks
Yep.
that are new. Are they going to get in rhythm early? Are they going to have a great game? Or are they going to have some hiccups along the way? It's going to be a big determinant factor in how this thing turns out.
We shall see. We're about 6 minutes now from kickoff. So that does it here from ground level on the Southern Sports Network pregame show. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll head up to the booth. Stephen Blackinson and Cannon Poor have the call on this game. Stay with us as kickoff is coming up next.
Hi, Peyton Hillis here for Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing. I've scored for the Hogs and for the NFL, but now my whole family has scored big finding this amazing store. Ozark Sportsman has everything a sportsman wants. The best firearm selection and gun safe choices anywhere in Northwest Arkansas. And a 15-lane indoor range and so much more. Ozark Outpost Clothing has all the hot boutique brands for women. And hey guys, our favorite brands also. Score big savings on top brands and follow me to Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Stoops. I'd like to introduce you to Southern Sports Network as they will broadcast high school sports for Catoosa, Chickasaw, Vian, Inola, and Green Forest. Download the SSN app and like them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Boomer Sooner to everybody.
We are computer science pros, chemists and lab technicians, health professionals, mathematicians, and science educators. We are the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions at Northeastern State University. Choose from degrees in natural sciences, health and pre-health professions, mathematics and computer science, and more. Discover the possibilities at Northeastern State University.
Having a body is tough. Exercising, sports, work, and life itself can leave you feeling tense at any age. The Trainer's Table is here for you. No appointments or memberships needed because you can't always plan ahead for when you're physically sore. The Trainer's Table. Let us stretch you.
Test. Oh, welcome in. It is kickoff here in Oklahoma as we have a great matchup on hand today on the Sun Sports Network for the kickoff of Football Friday night. Unfortunately, we've had some technical difficulties. Bear with us, but we have the matchup between the Gravette Lion football team out of Gravette, Arkansas, traveled down a couple of interstates to take on the Vian Wolverines tonight. I'm Stephen Blackston. Alongside me going to be Poor Cannon as we kind of join this game already in action. I guess somebody to keep an eye on tonight is going to be this quarterback for the Lions, number 1, Rhett Hilger, as he'll throw on first down.
Yeah, Rhett Hilger taking over the starting job this offseason in a quarterback battle of sorts. Really interesting to see how he comes out here and against a solid Vian defense who's going to play great fundamental football on the other side.
Well, they come out firing. Kelby Bohannon, head coach of these Lions, I guess has some confidence in the young Hilger. Has big shoes to fill, I suppose, as his older brother was a starter last year, Cy, as he'll throw there on second down and will miss his trusty running back, Kyler Austin, there.
Yeah, big shoes to fill with a big brother, taking over the reins for him. Really interesting to see how these first few drives feel. The pressure of a live game after weeks of fall practice, just playing against your teammates. It's good to get out here and play a different team for once.
Well, the Lions have run 2 plays and only run 6 seconds off the clock here in the first quarter. As 3 straight passes here for the Lions. Hilger going down the field. And looks like some of the Lions coaching staffs wanted a pass interference there, but no can do for the Lions. And just like that, a quick 4 and out after they've run 11 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, and that's not going to play well, especially when you're playing a Vian offense that loves to run the football. If you give them too much time, they're going to capitalize each and every drive.
We'll see what the coaching staff for the Lions dials up here as it's 4th and 10. Of course, at this level of competition, don't be surprised to see as Rhett Hilger will drop back into a punt formation. That'll be a kick quick up into the air and easily returned here for the Vian Wolverines. And Vian looking for an edge. And out of bounds, that'll be Hilger actually making the tackle down into Lion territory. We'll put that about the 32-yard line.
And it seems like that had good hang time on the punt, but Desean Mays, with enough blockers, found a lane and got some good yardage. Vian going to start in opponent's territory for their first drive on offense. Really impressive kick return there.
Well, while we have a moment, we'll take a look at those starting lineups. Well, actually, looks like we might be having some technical difficulties, so we'll come back to those in a moment. As the Wolverines will operate here on first down for just a simple rush for Gage Carlton there, and he'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage, Cannon.
And as I've mentioned earlier, Vian's offense is going to look to just run the ball either left, right, or down the middle. That's going to open up a passing game a little later in the game when the defense is caught a little bit on their front heels or on the front of their toes. Going to be interesting to see how quickly they can open up that pass game and test a young grad at secondary.
You see the starters there. Diego Ramos, the quarterback, keep an eye out for him tonight, as well as keep an eye out for Big 24, the tight end, Xavian Lackey, top 100 prospect in the state of Oklahoma. You'll see him more featured on the defensive side of the ball as Mays will get the handoff here on second down, and great form tackle in space there for the Lions.
2 runs so far from Vian, and Gravette seems to be executing well on the defensive side of the ball. They know they're going to face a lot of runs, but as you mentioned, Xavian Lackey going to line up on both sides of the ball, going to be featured more on the defensive side. Really exciting prospect, as you said, top 100 in the country. Excited to see how his game makes up tonight.
Yeah, and that tackle there for the Lions was Joe Drake, the sophomore, one of the many sophomores on this team. We'll talk more about that later in the broadcast, but we'll have a penalty marker on the play.
And it'll be 5 yards. False start on the Vian Wolverines. This drive started out with great field position. Wolverines haven't been able to capitalize thus far.
And you really, as a head coach, hate to see your own team shooting themselves in the foot with Diego Ramos back there. Had a little bit of game action last season, but going to be interesting to see how he comes out here, especially in the 3rd and long. You would assume Vian will be throwing here.
Let's see what the Wolverines call it. Play action pass. As Ramos going to hit Xavier Lackey, but Xavier left his hands at home.
Yeah, first game jitters, I guess you could chalk that up to. Really looked like a good pass from Ramos, and he had a little bit of space to run. Not sure if he's getting close to that first down, but probably makes it a harder decision on 4th down whether you kick it or whether you go for it if you make that catch.
We'll see. This sort of the field position, I would imagine they just go for it here. Maybe just throw something deep, see what happens.
See if you can get a flag, see if you can catch your opponents off balance here. Looks like that's what they're going to do, too.
He's going to send Bryson Pack in motion, play action once more. As Ramos will hit Lackey this time, but in and out of the hands. That went through about a handful of hands, as that'll be a turnover on downs and a net positive here for the Gravette Lions.
Very impressed on their first drive on defense. They seem to have kept Xavier Lackey that second time under wraps and really making it hard for Ramos back there to throw it. And when you're in 3rd and long, 4th and long situations and you're relying on your quarterback's arm to get you a first down, it's going to be a long night if you're the Wolverines.
But Ramos put so much on that football can, able to get it there even after bouncing off a hand or two of the Lions defenders.
2 very good throws, but in the second one, decent coverage. In the first one, it just looked like it was a drop by Lackey.
Well, the Lions back out on offense for their second possession here. With about 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. And it's Hilger going to end off here on first down, and a strong run, going to get out to their own 45-yard line. That's going to be, I believe, Kyler Austin. Who else? You'll see a lot of his name tonight, Ken, and he's going to be the featured back for this Lions offense.
He is the featured back. They have a couple, but he's going to be their number one, and I like their use of motion there. Really kind of throws the defense off a little bit, and if they can run that effectively all night, it's going to be an interesting night for this offense.
Again, it'll be Hilger and Austin in the backfield. Is Hilger going to throw out a screen quickly to Mason Meeker, and the ball's going to be out. Looks like Lions will be able to recover there, but near disaster there for Meeker as that ball popped out.
Incredible awareness there from Gravette to just jump on that ball. Really almost seemed like he didn't have control of that, but it looks like they're going to give him credit for it, and it's going to move the sticks for a first down.
Well, while we have a second, let's take a look at the starting lineups here for this Gravette offense. See there, starting quarterback Rhett Hilger, his brother Cy, took over that position a year ago.
Some big shoes to fill there for Rhett.
I'm sure Cy's given him some pointers over the last year or so. A little quick shovel pass. A couple of flags will come in. I'm sure that'll be a hold, as Carl Bontrager will have nowhere to go there off that shovel pass.
Yeah, it looks like Vian had that sniffed out from the start. Going to be interesting to see what these 2 flags are, though. I think you're right. It will be a hold, but
oh, it's going to be a chop block, looks like. And that's going to put the Lions behind the sticks and off sequence here, Kenneth.
And when you have a young quarterback starting in his first game, again, like I said, behind schedule is not where you want to be. Relying on his arm to try and pick up a first down is going to be a stressful situation, to say the least. And now that Vian knows that they're this far back, they're going to play a defensive strategy accordingly.
Well, Vian actually will decline the penalty on the chop block there, taking the loss of down and the loss of yards on that shovel pass they've gone under 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. Looks like about second down and 14 for the Lions as they will huddle.
Be interesting to see if they stick with a run game here, like they've really produced well early, or if they're going to try and have Hilger throw it early. Looks like they're going to run.
Yeah, hands off to Austin again. He's getting about 4 or 5 yards every run. I don't see why Coach Bohannon doesn't just keep feeding the big back.
No, it would make sense to just keep feeding. He's had several good carries, and it's going to be an adjustment in game or at halftime for Vian to stop that, because an effective run game is the building blocks of a good offense.
Well, and ultimately, both these defenses at a base run a 3-4, and looking here at what they've been able to do, they've been running basically inside runs on these plays for Austin, attacking that three-man front for the Wolverines. We'll see if they continue here on 3rd and 12. And Hilger going to throw, and that one going to be in and out of the hands there of Carl Bontrager, and he'll make it a 4th down right inside Wolverine territory.
This is another area where it's almost worth just taking the shot and seeing if you can convert or get a flag. That being said, you may want to give your defense a little more opportunity and just pin them deep within their 20. So we'll see what Coach Bohannon goes with here.
They're going to take their time here. Play clock goes under 15 seconds. As it'll just be Hilger by himself. I expect a punt, but we'll see. Well, Hilger going to roll out, and Xavier Lackey going to lay the boom on Hilger. That's going to be complete out there for Mason Meeker near the 1st down marker. We'll see if they give it to him, but
it's close.
Importantly there, Xavier Lackey coming in and laying a hard lick on Red Hilger. He's doubled over right now behind the play. And it looks like it's going to be a turnover on downs, Cannon.
It will be. It was just short. The wide receiver didn't really know, I guess, where he was. And like you said, Lackey in the backfield quickly. That was a solid hit on Red Hilger. Hope he's okay. But that's the sort of defensive presence Lackey brings, and it's something your offensive line always needs to be aware of.
Well, it's interesting, and we'll follow more on this when Gravette has the ball again, is we mentioned in the open of the show, Hilger was not necessarily the starter going into this game against Vian. There's also Hunter Carter on the bench, who's quite capable, as May is going to break a couple of tackles and is fighting. He'll get out across his own 40-yard line for a hard-earned handful of yards.
Yeah, their offensive run game so far has been stopped by Gravette well. They're playing to a game plan and executing well here. I'm very impressed so far by the Lions.
Be 2nd down and 7 here for the Wolverines, who are very methodical in their approach. Going to move Fisher Brooks in motion here for the guys in purple. Pitch out for Mays. Don't see that too often anymore. And he'll pick up another handful of yards. While we have a second, let's take a look at these starter lineups for the defenders for these Lions. Talking about before this game, we talked about Ryder Brown, number 15 there, one of the senior leaders on this team, one of the few seniors for the Lions. He's going to have a big game and probably a big season just to be an inspiration, probably hold up the morale of this unit.
Yeah, Ryder Brown, one of 3 seniors on this Gravette football team. It's a very young group of men, and he's going to bring some much-needed leadership to that locker room, really hoping he can instill some of those values and leadership.
Well, 3rd down here, another handoff. That'll be a 1st down and more. As out across into Lion territory will go Gage Carlton, the junior. Lowers his shoulder pads, picks up a 1st down.
And that's all you want to do in the Vian run game. You're going to get 1 yard here, 2 yards here, but if they can break through and get 5 or 10 every 3 or 4 plays, that's going to work well in their scheme.
We were talking about this before the game and studying this. Last year, Desean Mays averaged almost 12 yards a carry, and we were looking at that number. That's astronomically high. Thus far, when this Vian team lines up in the eye like they are now, another handoff, they're just taking chunks of yardage when they want to.
Yeah, it seems like they're settling into the game, really taking 5 or 6 yards at will. Gravette really started strong on the run game. Going to see if they can adjust and stop that, but that's all Vian wants to do is really just a sound ground game. They have a good quarterback in the backfield with Diego Ramos. He threw 12 touchdown passes last year, but if he doesn't have to throw, that's even better.
And most importantly, the clock keeps running. If you can win that time of possession battle, it's going to normally go your way.
Absolutely.
Well, this will be the first time we see Vian, I believe, in the shotgun. Better get it off with 5 seconds left on the play clock. They will with 2. As Ramos, I think that one's going to be credited as a target to Xavier Lackey. Ramos maybe led him just a little bit too far there.
I think that's 3 targets towards Xavier Lackey so far in the passing game here. Really seems like he's leaned upon in that aspect. Going to be interesting to see if he can incorporate some of the other wide receivers and even the running back out of the backfield in that
I mean,
passing game later.
it's not unfair to see why they want to target Xavier. He's highly recruited, has offers to places like Arkansas and Dartmouth, but Gravette might be game planning for that. Well, we'll see. Option here. Mays has it in the edge, has some blockers downfield. First down and more. Looks like he'll get to about the 25-yard line.
Looks like the ball might have come out there.
Yeah, we'll see. Looks like they're just going to move the chains. Forward progress was halted, but great little speed pitch out there for Desean Mays, and you can see some of that athleticism that led to that 11.5 yards he averaged last season.
Absolutely. Once he gets to the edge, he seems like he's got breakaway speed, and I like the looks we're getting here from Vian so far. Whether it's just a handoff, whether it's an option, whether it's a pitch, they're executing all so well that it's really kind of throwing Gravette for a loop here.
And again, Vian will just methodically plod along, working from the shotgun. High snap, but Ramos will be able to get it to Mays, and Mays just has to beat one tire. Touchdown, Vian, first one of the season. And you see right there why Desean Mays averaged 11.5 yards last season, taking that one to the crib to put his team up 6-0 early.
Absolutely. Breakaway speed from him, and it's incredible to see they're just going side to side, really biding their time until they can find just that one breakaway play. And as we see, that's the only one they need so far in the end zone for 6.
Well, Noah Mendoza for the Wolverines on to kick the extra point. And that one will go through the uprights. Our score here with 4:30 to go in the first quarter. The Wolverines 7, Lions nothing. More after the commercial. Well, welcome back here to Vian, Oklahoma. Our score is 7-0 after that beautiful Desean Mays touchdown rush. Cannon, we talk about Xavier Lackey on this team being a top 100 prospect, but there are a lot of other playmakers and weapons on this team.
Absolutely, and for the players around Xavier Lackey, it's important that they're dialed in and ready to go, because here's the thing. When you know you're preparing for a top 100 prospect in the country, that he's going to get the best offensive line to guard him and everything like that. So going to be a few holes here and there that Gravette can't stop, and it's going to be important for that linebacking core to be able to make some stops on that side of the ball.
It'll be interesting to see how Gravette answers after that touchdown run. Of course, I'm sure Evan and Brady talked about it in the pregame show, but these two teams played last season. No strangers to each other. As last season, Vian won up in Gravette 26-8 as they went on to have a 9-2 season last year, which, looking at the past records, while Coach Willis has been here, is actually kind of a down year, if you want to call it. Double-digit victories, I believe, in 5 of the 6 years he's been here.
Absolutely. Vian for the last 5-6 years has been the definition of consistency in win totals, getting to playoffs and making some noise there. Gravette really, on the flip side, a program who's finding some stability with Coach Bohannon and really trying to claw their way back into to contention for the playoffs and for a championship.
Yeah, when Bohannon took this job over, I believe in 2018, only had a win on the season. He came in the middle of the season, as a matter of fact, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see as we play on here how these young Lions will react.
And young Lions is important. They are very young right now.
Well, Bontrager will return, looking for a hole. He's going to lower his shoulder and take a couple of Vian Wolverines with him. Looks like Bryson Pack, the senior, initiated the contact on that tackle. And we'll see what Red Hilger and company have here.
It seems like he's okay after that big hit from Xavier Lackey. It was
ready to go.
Good one. Yeah, ready to rock and roll, I guess.
Might have been one of those things, that big hit might have knocked the nerves out of him.
Might have woken him up, got him ready to get back out there.
The Lions will break the huddle here with 10 seconds left on the play clock. They better go fast if they want to avoid a delay of game. 3 seconds. They're going to have to... just all sorts of confusion there. That was a sloppy play for the Gravette Lions.
It seemed like a miscommunication somewhere. They got out there way late in the play clock, and I don't know if this flag's going to be for delay of game or false start. Oh,
encroachment.
Neither. Okay.
The Lions will take it where they will, and it'll be a 1st and 5 to start the possession.
See if they stick to their ground game here, or see if they can let Hilger throw a couple passes and get comfortable back there.
They'll do just that. Hand it off to Austin again, as Austin refusing to come down, fighting forward. 1st down and more, out across the 40, and move those sticks.
What impressed me about that run was after the first point of contact, he just kept driving his legs. Seemed like a really good run, and obviously, at 1st and 5, it gets him another 1st down. But really impressed with Kyler Austin so far and his ability to run after first point of contact.
Lions really starting to find the rhythm on the ground.
Going to be interesting to see how long they stick with that if they get too far behind.
Well, just as we say that they've been consistent on the ground, they throw a ball incomplete, and it'll bring a 2nd down and 10 up. We'll take a look at the Vian starting defense while we have a second. Of course, like we talked about, Cannon, number 24 there, Vian Lackey. He's going to get all the attention tonight from this Gravette offense. Have to keep an eye out where purple 24 is.
Yeah, on either side of the ball, but specifically the defensive side, he's a menace in that linebacking core, and really one you don't want to see running at you if you're Red Hilger.
Well, 2nd down and 10 after the incompletion. Looks like Lackey might be coming, but we won't find out as there's a flag on the play. False start, and just like that, Lions off schedule. Makes this a 2nd down and 15 on this possession.
2nd down and 15, not necessarily like must-throw territory, and Red Hilger being so young, you really don't want to force a young quarterback into having to use his arm this early in the game and this early in the season, but if they keep taking penalties like that, it's what's going to have to happen for this Gravette offense.
And, if they start throwing the ball, that kind of plays to the strength of this Vian defense. Running that 3-4 technique, they can send one of those linebackers, and if Hilger can't adjust, is Lackey going to come and lay the boom? Wow, that was a vicious collision, untouched off of the edge there, right into Red Hilger's chest.
And it's one thing if you can beat a lineman to get back in the backfield. If he's untouched, that's just a whole other thing, and really got to him quickly. And that's you got to clean that up, otherwise it's going to be a long night if you're Red Hilger.
Well, after the incompletion, 3rd and 15 with 4 minutes to go here in the quarter, as Desean Mays showing no mercy here.
He's lived up to the billing thus far. We're not even to the 2nd quarter right now, and he's had a couple really good breakaway plays in linebacker position.
And looks like the Gravette Lions will think things over here on this 3rd down and 15. About 4 minutes to go left in the quarter. We will step away momentarily. More when we return.
Hey, Dean Blandino here. And guess what? Football season is right around the corner. And to watch the best live broadcasts in high school sports in Northeast Oklahoma, download the Southern Sports Network app. And check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I just did. Give them a like. It's the best broadcast in high school sports, and not just that area, in the country. Check them out.
Well, welcome back here to beautiful Vian, Oklahoma. Just literally minutes away from Interstate 40. We can see it off in the distance. As Vian's ready to play. Breaking out of the timeout way ahead of time.
This Gravette really having a big discussion here on what they're going to do on this 3rd down.
Definitely potential for a big momentum play here. Again, when these two teams played last season, Vian won 26-8. So I'm sure the Lions don't necessarily want this one to get away early. As Hilger will operate with 3 receivers to the far side of the picture, as they're going to double team Lackey, rightfully so. Wobbling duck in the air, and Desean Mays lays out for it, but can't quite bring that one home.
And see, when you have pressure on the defensive line like that, combined with the solid secondary that Vian has, it's going to be a recipe for disaster when you're trying to throw deep balls like that. Hilger really was running for his life, even with a double-teamed Lackey. Yeah, that's going to be a hard thing to try and figure out for this Gravette offensive line.
With that incompletion, it'll make it 4th and 15, as Mays for the Wolverines will get back deep to return, and Hilger set to kick. And this one just going to be a turf eater that'll roll out at about the 28-yard line of the Vian Wolverines, and we get to see Diego Ramos and company once more. Last drive resulted in a big Desean Mays touchdown run. They'll be looking to replicate that on this drive.
And going back a little bit, I really like that Gravette punt. They learned from the first one. They put too much hang time and they didn't get down the field quickly enough. Really taking the ability for Desean Mays to return the football is a big key. Because he, as we saw in the last drive, he has breakaway speed.
He definitely has that potential. We'll see if Coach Willis elects to feed him here, as Wolverines will start the drive in the pistol. And indeed, they'll hand it to Mays, and Mays has a hole, picks up about 4 on first down.
You can just kind of see this Vian run game slowly but surely wearing down this Gravette front, or defensive front. And that's going to have potential for bigger runs later in the game. It's going to have potential for deep shots from Diego Ramos. It's going to open up all kinds of possibilities for this offensive playbook of Vian.
And important to note, like we said earlier, Gravette, like Vian, runs a 3-4 defense. 2 of those 3 defensive linemen are sophomores, starting here against Vian, and Desean Mays, again, will get the carry.
It's a very young defensive and offensive core for Gravette. Really a season to try and figure out what they have and build upon that as they go game in and game out. 3 seniors on the team, hopefully bring leadership, and then a big sophomore and junior class to build with.
You know, it's interesting. I see down there on the sideline, Desean Mays getting some water. He's in full sleeves and full black sleeves tonight, and it is not a cool night out here, Karen.
It is not a cool night. I'm very impressed that you pointed that out. That's it's got to be warm.
He looks down there, ready to just get some more action, but getting out to the edge, trying to get to the first down marker. Looks like they'll give it to him. Will be Gage Carlton. As again, the Wolverines just elect to pound the football down the Lions' throat.
And we've seen a nice 1-2 punch so far from the Vian running backs. You know, when you have Desean Mays out, Gage Carlton, just you plug him right in there. He's had a few good carries.
Yeah, now we'll get to see Mays again as Carlton will come out. As Carlton and Mays, both juniors. So we'll have another year of them on the Vian football team. Here is Mays, last year as a sophomore, I guess, averaged 11.5. See if he can up those numbers as a junior. Play action boot. Ramos takes a hit but stands in. That one going to be complete deep down the field. Dakota Briggs, massive completion, flipping the field down to the Gravette line, 25-yard line.
Very impressive there from Diego Ramos. Knew he had some pressure, knew he was going to take a hit, threw a perfect ball up for Dakota Briggs. Impressive play there, and that's what the run game does for you. It opens up deep shots like that.
Especially against an inexperienced defense like that. And they haven't quite maybe learned or are aware to, not buy it. You take that first step as a linebacker, and then boom, you've lost 3-5 yards on the receiver.
Yeah, that position is so important to have a good first step, because if you take a first step in, you're already beaten.
Well, Vian will reset, going back to the pistol. Ramos has some pressure in his face, but will evade. Looking end zone, and I think that'll be incomplete. I would say there was a bit of a push there, Cannon.
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of contact there. Refs opt for a no call, and to the displeasure of the Vian faithful.
Definitely to the displeasure of the Vian faithful. Looks like Mason Meager was back there in coverage. We'll call that a questionable call.
I guess playing to whatever the refs will let you get away with here is a smart decision for Gravette.
But early here, Diego Ramos standing tall, back-to-back passes, pressure in his face, takes on the pressure, and is able to get a great ball out.
He seems very poised, and he's throwing solid balls. He's throwing them where exactly they need to be for his receivers. Very impressed so far from Diego Ramos.
Well, pitch for Mays. This worked last time when they were down here. Flag going to come in. Might have been a hold. We'll have to see.
It's in the area where a hold generally would be.
Waiting the White Hats call. Yep, and it'll be a hold on the Vian Wolverines, and it'll back them up after that pitch out to Desean Mays.
They'll knock him considerably behind the first down chains, but as we've seen, Diego Ramos not afraid to take a deep shot here, and he's got a good receiving core. We'll see if they opt to run here and then maybe third down throw with a more manageable throw, or if they just take two shots.
We're going to move Lackey to the strong side of the formation. Full house here. Snap over the head of Ramos, and that's going to be a Gravette Lion football, barring something crazy on the call. Coming out of there, who we talk about? Ryder Brown, the senior, 1 of 3 on this team, gets the turnover on the mistake from the Wolverines.
Just incredible awareness from Ryder Brown there to realize that snap was a little over the head and was bobbled by Diego Ramos, and just good job to jump on the football there and secure his team possession here around midfield. Big break for this Gravette defense too.
Yeah, have to get points here off of this turnover. You feel like just to have some momentum come back your way after this fumble.
This Gravette defense has performed well beyond a few carries from Mays. It's going to be important that this offense starts to deliver, whether that's field goals, whether that's touchdowns, in some form on the scoreboard.
Well, let's see if this Lion offense is rejuvenated after Ryder Brown rewarded them on the other side of the football. Be Hilger and Austin, as Hilger going to look up to Bontrager, and that was a dangerous throw. I'd say if Dakota Briggs was playing the ball instead of the receiver, he might have had a chance to come away with that one.
Yeah, when you throw balls like that, it's a danger to the receiver, and it's a danger to get picked off for 6. He had nobody back there, so got to put a little more zip behind that ball and not so much air under it.
Yeah, you want to get the drive route, not the pitching wedge.
Exactly.
Don't want to hit a lob shot in this situation. Oh, and not going to be a flag there. It looked like there might have been a little motion, but a big hit there by big number 70, Caden Hickelheim, coming in to take down Kyler Austin.
Yeah, they had that play sniffed out from the beginning. It looked like this Vian defense really starting to settle into the game here. Maybe had first game jitters early on, but playing well in the few drives we've seen them.
And we'll near the 30-second mark here in our first period of play. 17 seconds or so left on the play clock, as the Lions will have probably about one more chance in this quarter. Hilger going to take a shot. That one lofted up there and complete. Great job there by Hilger to throw it in there. Better job, I'd say, by Mason Meeker, able to sit there and get in a position to make that play.
Yeah, incredible vision from Mason Meeker there. He really he maneuvered around the defender and put himself in a position to catch that ball, or at the very least knock it down for so it wouldn't be intercepted. But in good field position here for Gravette going into the second quarter, if they
elect to do so. Yeah.
If they elect to do so, it doesn't look like they're going to snap a play. But we'll see.
Try. They got 4 seconds. Don't quite think they're going to get there. And in fact,
video of Vian, Oklahoma. You saw us kind of go through downtown. That is where our Southern Sports Network kind of journey has taken us today for week 0 between Vian, Wolverines and the Gravette Lions. We want to apologize for the technical difficulties we've had today. It's been a whirlwind behind the scenes, but we should be good to go. Fingers crossed, no more problems arising, but we should be good to go from here. So we'll do a quick little recap of what happened in the first half. It is currently 21-0 Vian at halftime. The teams have just hit the locker rooms, so halftime was just went underway. In fact, the clock has not even started running yet, which halftime is scheduled for 20 minutes from here. So, I mean, the scoring summary is pretty easy to give you. There's been 3 touchdowns, all on the Vian side, all on the ground, and really, it's been all Desean Mays, number 20 for Vian. Brady, a 27-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. That was the score after the first quarter, 7-0, and then the second quarter comes around. Vian is able to start moving the ball a little bit more. Eventually, number 6, Gage Carlton, picks up a 3-yard touchdown run, and then Desean Mays, with about 15 seconds left, gets his second touchdown run of the game. So, pretty good movement for Vian and Desean Mays.
Absolutely. Vian has definitely found their rhythm, moving the ball on the ground. First quarter was a little bit slow, but they seemed to find something that was working for them, exploit it, and have been able to get the ball moving. Like you said, they got 3 scores on the ground since about 4 minutes remaining or so, or was it 4 minutes into the first quarter when they got that first one?
4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter, and then the second quarter they really got the momentum going. Their defense is looking great. They are getting great pressure on the quarterback. Number 24, Zaven Lackey. Couple of drops on the offensive side. One big key grab, though, there in the second quarter to set up one of those touchdowns. But the pressure he is putting on the quarterback number 1 over there for Gravette, Rhett Hilger, is really affecting the way that the Lions are able to operate their offense.
It's definitely been kind of a tale of two sides for these two teams. And like you mentioned, Xavier Lackey, even though offensively, and keep in mind, and Steven and Kanan hit on it in the first quarter, Lackey's a highly top prospect. I mean, one of the best players in the state of Oklahoma for this graduating year. Offensively, a little bit lackluster, you could say, especially in his standards, but defensively, like Brady hit on, a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Hilger has looked very uncomfortable pretty much the entire game, and he hasn't been able to get in a rhythm by any means. And I think, and Brady kind of hit on this a little bit more, when a quarterback is unsettled in the pocket, when he's nervous, when he's scared, that causes him to have a lot of errant throws. And we saw a couple of those get batted down, or that just were not even close to the receiver.
So, like you said, some of the things we're seeing is he's getting hurried. Again, he's a first-year starter here. He's a junior, but this is his first year at the helm. So we're going to chalk some of that up to, jitters, a little bit of nerves on his first start. But with the things that we're seeing is when he has like an open guy, but there's some pressure, and instead of keeping that composure and stepping into that and making that throw, you're seeing him make those throws as he's retreating and off of his back feet, which is going to really affect his accuracy and overall performance there.
Well, and the quarterback play, like we mentioned, by Hilger, trying to get a little bit of rhythm. Someone who is in a rhythm, though, for the Lions is number 30, Tyler Austin, who's done majority of the production for Gravette, the running back. He's been consistently moving the ball, and something that we saw in the first quarter was Vian was able to move the ball in chunks and start to get down the field, just could not wrap up and finish the drives. Come the second quarter, Austin got a little bit of a rhythm, and that Lions offense started to get going, but just some unfortunate events for them. But Austin has done a great job for the Gravette side.
Austin's been great. I would like to see him get a few more carries.
Absolutely.
I mean, 21-0, you are getting to where running the ball a lot is going to be something that you're not going to be able to afford to do. But they were throwing the ball a lot on mid to short yardage plays, trying to get those quick little 5-yard dump passes where Austin's having a pretty good average yard per carry tonight. I mean, he's a tough runner. It's taken 2 or 3 guys to bring him down. And I think if they can get a score coming in, I think Vian gets the ball to start the second half. Mm-hmm. But if they can get a stop and get a score and maybe just jump in there and force a turnover, they can be right back in this game. And then they can lean on that running ability.
With a light blow down.
We had a light blow down, yeah.
A little wind here.
No big deal. But he's running the ball hard. One thing that I do think they could do is maybe instead of handing him the ball, maybe give him the ball in space. Give him the ball on some quick little outs, just some little hitch routes, whatever. Just something to give him the ball at it with a full head of steam, or if he makes one guy miss, he might have an opportunity for some big plays.
Well, and we were talking here on the sideline during that first half. The 1-2 punch that was kind of unexpected for Vian this year are the two guys who scored touchdowns, Desean Mays and Gage Carlton. You compared them to Reggie Bush and Leonard White for USC. Lindell White, excuse me. So, and I thought that was perfect because you had White, who was your kind of mow you down, Reggie Bush good in space. And we saw that with Vian. Kind of your Desean Mays is your shifty in the space, but Gage Carlton's been your run-your-over running back. It's been a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah, Carlton. Yeah, he's doing great between the tackles, off tackle, anything that involves running in traffic. He's the more physical of the two, and he's picking up great success. I don't know if he's been stopped for less than 5 yards on a carry tonight. I mean, he's going to put up some good numbers for the Wolverines this year. And like you said, number 20, Desean Mays, he has got great elusiveness along with great speed. He's been able to make some really, really nice cuts, make a few guys miss, and get the ball moving big downfield, including one of those touchdown runs that we saw early on in tonight's game.
Kind of one of the last points we want to hit on has been the importance of special teams in this game. Field position has been very difficult for Gravette to come by. That entire first quarter, they never got past midfield until the very end of the first quarter when they eventually broke that seal. But part of that is because they haven't had great field position to begin with, so they're always starting deep in their own territory. But for Vian, man, Desean Mays behind at the very bottom has done a great job doing punt returning, and that was something that we were kind of looking at with special teams. And was it going to come into a factor or not tonight? And I mean, Mays getting those punt returns has been a huge factor in this one.
Oh, his punt returns have been great. There was that very first one, I wasn't sure that he wasn't going to break that one and take it all the way.
Yeah.
They managed to wrangle him up and get him down. But the special teams is going to be huge, I think, going forward in the second half. Like you talked about, Vian has been able to move the ball, but Gravette has struggled getting the ball going, and they haven't had great field position. Like you mentioned, they crossed the 50 one time, and that was actually what was a pretty long pass there from the new quarterback. But yeah, special teams is just one of those three phases that's going to help you win a ball game, and right now, special teams is all going Vian's way.
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at the score, it's 21-0. If you're the Lions, one of those touchdowns that was just given up came with 17 seconds left in the half. If you would eliminate that, you're talking a 14-0 game. On the scoreboard, Lions are still in this. But from our observations on the field, it's clearly been all Vian. Just their ability to move down the field. Haven't been able to finish drives. Now, the Gravette defense, rush defense, has not been bad. I know we've been bragging about Desean Mays and Gage Carlton, the two running backs. But honestly, Brady, I mean, the defense for Gravette, rushing-wise, has not been bad.
No, they've been playing downhill. They've been swarming the ball pretty well. The runs at the middle, they just got one really good physical back and one that is just going to make your guy miss. And they haven't had a lot of big breakaway runs, but they've been able to keep a pretty good average and get the ball moving. What I do think that we're seeing here, though, is we talked about this before the game and we looked at our players by class notes. 3 seniors, 16 juniors, and 14 sophomores for Gravette. 33 players on that roster. You know as well as I that many of those are playing both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the scoreboard, I don't think, reflects the 100% what we've seen as far as Vian's ability to move the ball and then get into a situation to go for it on fourth and turn it over on downs or have to punt. So what I think we're seeing is a defense that is getting gassed. The defense is getting tired. The offense, I think, again, unless it's just too much further out of hand, they won't be able to. Take a little clock, get your run game going, get number 30 rolling. He's going to get you a couple first downs. He's going to get you put you in second and manageable, which is what you want to be. The passes on first down right now just aren't doing it. If they're going to do it, it's going to be a quick stop route, slant, something to get the ball out of his hand quick. But I think you take your new quarterback and you set him up with 2nd and 5 instead of 2nd and 10, and just try to help him out a little bit there, to where the play choice may not be so obvious.
Well, and coming in, we had a kind of a knowing who was going to be starting quarterback. We had speculation that Cy Hitler's younger brother, Rhett, was going to get the start. Sure enough, he did. And Brett, I want to throw this hypothetical question out to you. His competition was another junior, and that was Hunter Carter. We've yet to see Carter in this game. Based off what you've seen from Hilger, do you think coming in the second half we might see Carter come in, or do you think Bohannon will stick it out with his starter quarterback?
I think being a first-year starter, first game, I would give the backup an opportunity.
Okay.
Especially if we go down another score quick, because like we said, the quarterback is rattled right now. He's been getting pressured, he's been getting hit. The throws are off balance, a lot of stuff cross body, just some things mechanical that can be worked on and help him out in the long run. But if the throws downfield aren't going to work for us, the backup quarterback, who is the quarterback that we're talking about there at backup?
His name is Hunter Carter.
Hunter Carter. So Carter is a smaller quarterback. He's at 5'9", 163. But he might be a little more athletic in terms of speed and agility, and have the ability to get out of that pocket when the pressure starts collapsing and be able to make a play on the move or carry the rock himself and be able to pick up some yards and maybe help get some points on the board for the Lions.
That was something that we saw from Cy, his older brother. He was able to move a little bit with his feet. We've not seen that from Rhett, though. It's been all on the ground via Austin or Hilger attempting to go through the air. Now, a quick observation at the very end, when Gravette was able to move the ball pretty easily towards the end of the mid portion of the second quarter, they actually fumbled the ball on the 34-yard line of Vian. But during that portion, you saw Gravette start to kind of use a read option look. We start to see Hilger move his feet a little bit more, going up the middle, using that read option. But then Hilger misread the read option, and that turned into a big destructive play. I think that kind of scared Coach Bohannon a little bit because he saw his quarterback get hit a lot. And you mentioned a little bit earlier, Lackey and a plethora of Vian defenders, especially on the defensive line, have been in the face of Hilger all day long. And that's not necessarily Rhett's fault. It starts with the offensive linemen.
Absolutely, yeah. The offensive line has got to step up a little bit and try to get him a little more protection because, like I said, short plays are going to be what they need. That home run ball right now is completely off the table because they don't have time. I mean, he doesn't have 5 seconds, 4 to 5 or 6, 8 seconds for a play to develop. He needs to be taking a 1 to 3 step drop and getting it out of his hands. And he's had a hard time doing that without having somebody in his face. So I don't know that that's going to be something they're going to be able to do going into the second half or not. We're going to have to see what happens, but maybe they need to leave the number 30 back there in the backfield. Maybe instead of sending him out on a route to the flats, maybe picking up the linebackers, picking up an extra block to give him just that extra second he needs to step up and make that throw versus just taking the pounding that he's been taking. And on the read option, it worked great a couple of times. And like you said, those 2 big misreads, we saw one right down here at our end of the field, and it was a drive killer. Look, I thought that Gravette was maybe going to put one in the end zone before at the end of before the half was over, and that play completely swung momentum a little bit, and Vian took over on defense right there.
It's really been all Vian so far. Reminder, it's 21-0 with the Wolverines currently leading. It is halftime. We're about 10 minutes away from the start of the second half. We do want to take a quick break, come back, take a look at what's coming ahead, as well as some scores from around the league. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on the Southern Sports Network.
My name's Todd Harden, and I am Todd's Coffee. The reason I do this to begin with is because I really want people to experience coffee. What I'm doing and what other roasters are doing as well is, we're trying to figure out what the bean is trying to tell us. My goal and my customer really is there's probably 2 out of 10 people that could taste the difference in one of my better roasts versus an average roast. If I can make those people happy, I'm making everybody happy. And so that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to roasting. You can just go to toddscoffee.com. You can get a whole bean, or I'll grind it for you. Either way, there'll be a drop down in there that you can order it that way. So order some coffee.
In 1851, the Cherokee ignited the lamp of learning in the wilderness. For more than a century, this has been a gathering place, where minds are developed and lifelong relationships are made, where dreams find direction. The lamp burns brightly still at Northeastern State University.
Having a body is tough. Exercising, sports, work, and life itself can leave you feeling tense at any age. The Trainer's Table is here for you. No appointments or memberships needed because you can't always plan ahead for when you're physically sore. The Trainer's Table. Let us stretch you.
The College of Liberal Arts at Northeastern State University is innovative, engaging, life-changing, empowering. Choose from undergraduate and graduate degrees in the arts and fine arts, languages, criminal justice, social work, and more. Be inspired at Northeastern State University.
Hi, Peyton Hillis here for Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing. I've scored for the Hogs and for the NFL, but now my whole family has scored big finding this amazing store. Ozark Sportsman has everything a sportsman wants. The best firearm selection and gun safe choices anywhere in Northwest Arkansas. And a 15-lane indoor range and so much more. Ozark Outpost Clothing has all the hot boutique brands for women. And hey guys, our favorite brands also. Score big savings on top brands and follow me to Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing.
The College of Business and Technology at Northeastern State University is where education meets industry. Our in-demand undergraduate and graduate programs have real-world focus with practical workforce applications. Choose from degrees in accounting, marketing, supply chain management, information systems, healthcare administration, data analytics, and more. Lead with experience from Northeastern State University.
Some might say I'm an ideas guy. I'd like to think of myself more as a doer. I like to make things happen, both for myself and for the people my businesses serve. Signature Bank has been crucial in that for me, from starting my moving businesses to expanding into mobile minis, all the way to our current office and warehouse space. Signature has advised and supported me every step of the way.
A tradition of educational excellence, more than a century in the making, continues in Broken Arrow. Here, supportive faculty, in-demand undergraduate and graduate degrees, and affordable tuition make Northeastern State University your transfer destination. Finish what you started.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Stoops. I'd like to introduce you to Southern Sports Network as they will broadcast high school sports for Catoosa, Chickasaw, Vian, Inola, and Green Forest. Download the SSN app and like them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Boomer Sooner to everybody.
At Northeastern State University in Muskogee, we take care of our students so they can take care of others. Choose from a variety of healthcare degrees, including physician assistant studies, nursing, occupational therapy, speech-language pathology, and
Back here in Vian as we have reached post-halftime now. We got about 4 minutes left until the start of the second half. Teams have not yet come out onto the field, but it is 21-0 here. Vian currently over the Gravette Lions. We just broke down the first half after some technical difficulties. We should, fingers crossed, be good to go in the second half. So we hit on what happened. Now we want to kind of take a look at what's going to happen, or predictions, Brady, if you will, of what to expect coming out of the second half. Now, we'll start with Gravette. Offensively, no points so far. You've had some good-looking drives. You've got the ball moving at times, not consistently. If you're Kelby Bohannon and that coaching staff, if you're in the locker room, what are you telling your offense right now?
So we're going to focus on the positive things. We were able to move the ball on the ground. We did make a few good throws, but we also got to talk about what we can do better, and that is finding a way to get Hilger, if they're going to stick with him, an extra second to get rid of the football. There were several of those plays when broke up or when the pressure came on, that had he had just an extra 1 or 2 seconds to step up and step into that throw, things could be much different. So I think that on defense, I don't think that they're playing a bad game. They're playing a very good Vian team that has like that excellent 1-2 punch we talked about at running back. The quarterback is starting to get a little bit more comfortable, and he's made a couple of big throws downfield. So I think their defense, they're going to kind of stay the course. They're going to just tell them, hey, look, be more aggressive, play a little more reckless at the linebacker spot. We got to get the stops because they are beating us on the ground. So that's, I think, going to be the plan on defense. On offense, like I said, they got to find a way to get him time. And right now, being 3 scores down, they can't really afford to do that on the ground. It's going to be about finding somebody extra to pick up that blitzer and to be able to let him get the ball out of his hands quickly. Or we do a complete change-up and we switch quarterbacks.
We'll see. We'll see what Coach Bohannon has. I think for Vian, it's the same. Just keep doing what you're doing and see if you can stop number 30, Mr. Austin, on the ground. So that'll do it from us here for your halftime show. We're about 2 minutes into the start of the second half. We want to go ahead and throw it up to the booth where Stephen and Cannon have their thoughts on the first half. Stephen, take it away.
Well, welcome back here for the second half of issues, or second half of football. So we have had some issues, Cannon. We've had some electricity issues, but the Vian Wolverines, while we've been off the air, unfortunately, have been everything and electric. They've been the electric company tonight.
It's a good way to put it. As soon as we went off there, it seemed like Vian's defense and offense both started clicking. Really a couple good drives to end the half and make it a 3-touchdown game going in the second half. On the flip side of that, Gravette really, after a good start to the game, seemed to have lost their momentum, and they've had their chances inside the red zone, good defensive play, but no conversions so far on the scoreboard. 21-0 is seems like a fitting score so far.
Yeah, and last year this game got played. It was 26-8 in favor of the Wolverines. Only a score or so away from equaling that mark this season in 2021. It kind of has the feeling here from this first half, from what we've been watching while we've been the broadcast has been down, is this score probably might end up being higher than last year's score. It might be a 35-point night. Maybe, I don't want to say 42, but probably a 35-ish point night here for the Wolverines.
Yeah, you're looking at a pretty big margin right now. Obviously, Gravette could come out, really surprise us with their halftime adjustments and try and make it a ball game. But I think I talked about this earlier. These are two teams in two very different places. Vian really, contending for a championship this season. Gravette really trying to figure out what they have in a very young team. So this game is not a throwaway by any means, but it's really a feeler for both of these teams to figure out where they're at early on in the season.
And of course, looking past this game, as we have one half behind us and one half to go here in week 0 or week 1 or whatever number you want to call it. It's different all across the nation. But taking a look ahead here for the Gravette Lions, they have 2 more non-conference games. Both are going to be against Oklahoma teams, but they're going to get to have both of them at home. Next they'll play on the 3rd of September, Inola outside of Tulsa. And as well, they're going to get to play on September 10th, the Pryor Tigers. Both teams that they competed against last year and had some issues with there as well.
Now, what you can't fault Gravette for is playing a weak schedule. They're playing good competition. They're really trying to figure out where they're at. And playing solid competition is going to mean hard games and hard-fought games, but it's going to pay dividends for them down the road, really. I mean, when you look at their schedule the rest of the way, it doesn't let up either, but it's going to be interesting to see how this Gravette team really shapes out during the run of the season.
Yep, and then they'll have a week off, and then it'll be conference football for the 4A1 over in the Natural State, right? Probably 5, 10, 15 minutes from where we are. They'll be taking on the Elkins Elks at home. That team will be interesting to see how they shake up this year, as they've lost a lot of players. Last year went and finished 3rd in the 4A1. Messed around, had one of the best seasons that they'd had in a long time behind the arm and legs of Kane Johnson, one of the really good stories for that team. But, of course, they fell to Nashville in the playoffs, as most teams do in 4A in Arkansas. The Nashville Scrappers, definitely a tough out for anybody when it comes to postseason time. But let's take a look at the Vian Wolverines and see what they have coming up on the schedule. Next up for them on the 3rd of September, they're going to be at Eufaula taking on the Ironheads. That we'll see, what they have. They're playing another team here in the Sooner State. Some of their, their own in-state opponents.
Yeah, it's never easy to go on the road anywhere in the state and win, especially with a state as competitive as Oklahoma. But it's going to be interesting. Vian, just from what we've seen so far, has some depth at the running back position, has some depth at receiver, and really a good, strong arm with Diego Ramos. Been very impressed so far in this first half. They look as good as any team in this conference right now, and really could make a run down the stretch.
And they were projected to win the 2A5 in the beginning of the season, and it's hard not to see why, just because they have that 1-2 punch of Ramos and Mays. I mean, Desean Mays has been electric tonight on the ground, breaking off runs. We were talking about it while we were off air. It looks like, you were mentioning to me, he has kind of two modes. He waits, and then he sees that play develop, and he just puts it into the high gear.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see. I think he's a junior at this level, or at that level of mental toughness. He lets the line develop a hole for him, and then as soon as that hole develops, he is gone. Or we can pitch it out to him on the either side with an option or just a straight pitch, and he is going to be running for 6. He has got incredible breakaway speed, and he's been really one of the highlights of an overall solid Vian offense.
And Diego Ramos has come into this game. We had a few question marks. It wasn't near as many question marks about the quarterback position on the other side of the field, because Ramos had some experience coming into this season, but he has looked like QB1 from the kickoff.
And the good news about Vian is that if you're not talking about the quarterback all that much, it means he's doing his job. He's got a strong arm. We saw several good passes, good strong throws from him in the first half. He just has a great running back core around him and a solid receiver core to make anything happen on the offense. Never feels like they're out of it for a third or fourth down conversion with the strong arm of Diego Ramos.
Well, it looks like Gravette is getting ready to kick off as Red Hilger does a little bit of everything. I guess for this team is also going to be the kicker here. First time we've seen the kickoff unit for the Lions in this one.
When you're traveling 33 players, you really have to dig deep and play on all fronts, offense, defense, and special teams.
It looks like everybody's all lined up as we're ready to go here for the second half of action. Our score: the home Vian Wolverines up 21-0 over Gravette, as that one will go right out of bounds and into one of the coach's arms for an illegal procedure. Great hands there by one of the assistants, though.
And not sure if that was – it looked like he was lined up to kick it to that sideline. Not sure if it was intentional to kick it out of bounds and just keep it out of the hands of Desean Mays or if that was just an accident. But we'll get an early look here at the Vian offense. Really going to be interesting to see how long they keep their starters, and if this margin begins to widen more than 3 touchdowns.
Well, actually, it looks like
they're going to
elect to re-kick the football here.
And why not if you have somebody as dangerous as Mays back there?
As Hilger will line up now from his own 35 and try this all over again. Of course, really, Vian fans, the Eufaula game, they took care of business against them last year, but I'm sure a lot of them are looking at this Lincoln Christian game that's coming up on September 10th as Lincoln Christian up in Tulsa, as Hilger will kick again and nearly goes out of bounds, as looks like Noah Mendoza is going to bail Hilger out there if he just let that one go. I think that was going to go back out of bounds, Ken.
Yeah, kind of a puzzling decision there. I guess when you're in the moment, it's hard to decipher, but it did look like that one was going a few rows deep on the bench.
But like I was mentioning, on September 10th, they're going to play the Lincoln Christian, I believe, Bulldogs up in Tulsa, a team that went 12-1 last year and lost in the in the championship game to the Holland Hall Dutchmen up in Tulsa. So that will be a great game coming up on the 10th between this Vian Wolverine team, probably the real first true test of the season. As Ramos going to look to pass, heaving it deep down the field, and even with the interference, Dakota Briggs going to come down. Looks like Jordan White committed the pass interference. Great throw by Ramos, but even better catch there by Dakota Briggs.
You can see the shock on my face. I did not think he caught that. That was an incredible mental toughness to keep his eyes on the ball, realize he was being interfered with, was going to get a flag anyway, decided to go up and just catch it. Now you can really decline the penalty and get a huge chunk on the first play. Like this, Vian coming out swinging up 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Vian took a few chunks out of the tree in the first half, but they want to chop it down here early in the third quarter with that absolute dagger from Diego Ramos to Dakota Briggs. And now it'll be 1st down and 10 in Lion territory. Didn't take long there, as Desean Mays going to cut it, and he'll get near the 1st down marker. Looks like they'll give him maybe 9.5 or so yards on that play.
Desean Mays picking up right where he left off in the first half, just waiting for his line and his teammates to develop a hole for him and hitting it for, it looks like, about 9 yards. He's just such a balanced runner in that backfield with some incredible speed. It's just a joy to watch.
Well, Vian going to slow it down here after 2 chunk plays. As Ramos will go under center here. And simple handoff to Mays, who will get met in the backfield. Looks like in there will be number 30, Kyler Austin, the starting running back on the other side. As unfortunately, it looks like Desean Mays is slow to get up. As a big hit for the Vian offense if it's anything serious.
Yeah, it looks like it could be him just shaking up. Could be cramps maybe with how hot it's been outside. Obviously, don't want to speculate on an injury, but we hope he's okay for Vian.
Yeah, definitely, it was a warm one. It's cooled off a little bit now. The sun's gone down, and there's a bit of a breeze that's starting to pick up here at Wolverines Stadium. But definitely looks like the manager coming out and making sure all the players have bottles of water.
When you're in these early dog days of August, once you finish the season in December, you're going to be wishing for this weather, but it's important to stay hydrated. It's important to really, know your limits because they can sneak up on you real quick here right now.
Well, Mays is up and going to get some water from one of the managers. And on the field, it'll be a 3rd down and 3 as Mays couldn't break clean on that. Kyler Austin had his number called.
And there's no reason for Vian to really get away from their run game here. But if Gravette is selling out and Diego Ramos can pick that up early, maybe we do see a sort of a play action or an audible here into a run or into a pass.
Wolverine's going to have to act quick here. 1 second on the play clock, just going to get it off. Play action boot. Austin has that red one-handed. Throws it to Xavier Lackey. That's going to be 6 points for the Wolverines. Diego Ramos, are you serious?
What an incredible piece of awareness there from Diego Ramos. He uses his legs. We haven't seen him run all that much tonight, but he does just enough and avoids the pressure for long enough to dump it off to Xavier Lackey, and that is living up to the billing right there as a top 100 recruit in the country. Just ready there to run it into the end zone for 6. Incredible play there from the Vian offense.
I mean, Ramos had Kyler Austin by the front of the shoulder pads in one hand, a football in the other, had enough arm strength to get that to Lackey. You can't make that up.
That is an incredible play from a young Diego Ramos. Incredible to just extend it long enough to make something happen there, and Vian really clicking on all cylinders right now.
Well, our score now, the Vian Wolverines extending their lead 28-0 over Gravette. Kickoff when we return.
Eastern State University in Muskogee. We take care of our students so they can take care of others. Choose from a variety of healthcare degrees, including physician assistant studies, nursing, occupational therapy, speech language pathology, and more.
Well, welcome back here to Wolverines Stadium. As that drive just saw capped off by a beautiful pass by Diego Ramos to find Xavier Lackey, and Lackey helps his quarterback out and gets it the rest of the way into the end zone.
Yeah, he's lived up to the billing this far. I mean, he's played well on the defensive side of the ball, and now he's got a great little touchdown there. Had a nice reception on the near side here earlier in the first half. He's really a jack of all trades, if you will. Been a lot of fun to watch Xavier Lackey tonight.
Wolverines set to kick off again. Noah Mendoza. As we have about 10 minutes, 21 seconds left to go in the third quarter. And Mendoza will send this one skyward. As they'll hit Bontrager in the knees. And down at their own 20-yard line will be where these Gravette Lions will take over. And we'll see. We haven't seen this team this half. See what sort of adjustments, offensive adjustments, Kelby Bohannon and the coaching staff over on the far sideline have made.
Interesting to me to see this half if it becomes an out-of-hand game. Do they stick with Rhett Hilger? Do they throw in their backup quarterback, Hunter Carter? Are we going to get different looks from this offense in the second half to try and get a good idea of where they stand after the first week of the season?
Well, it looks like Hilger will stay in the ball game. And we'll see what answer Gravette will have. And it'll be just a run up the gut. And Austin will break that one free across the 30 to the 35 near the 40-yard line. That'll be a first down for Gravette. Good first down rush.
I've been really impressed tonight with Kyler Austin's just toughness. Really keeps on running at the first point of contact, and looked to be there that the Vian defense thought that a whistle might be blown pretty soon for forward progress there, and Kyler just kept driving and really picked up a nice chunk of yards for a first down there.
This Gravette offense has had moments of brilliance. We've seen it. Just that run there with Kyler Austin. He's a very hard running back. It's why Kelby Bohannon and the coaching staff kind of has him the feature back, the bell cow of this offense. It just hasn't been enough of those plays, I guess, in succession as the entire Vian defensive line is waiting there for number 21, Carl Bontrager, in the backfield.
And like you referenced, we've seen some moments of really brilliance from this Gravette offense. They just haven't been able to string it together. They start on the ground with Kyler Austin as their lead running back, and then Rhett Hilger, once he develops into that position and can throw the ball around the field, this could be a very fun offense to watch. He's had some good throws tonight, too.
They're going to go to Bontrager again, and he'll fight across the 40-yard line, pick up a handful of yards, and bring up third down for the Wolverines.
This 1-2 punch in general for Gravette's been very nice. Bontrager in the backfield has also had his moments of real brilliance, and it's good to see that Gravette has a solid running back core to complement Rhett Hilger back there in the backfield.
Yeah. We'll see as Austin back in the football game. All 5'11", 170 of the sophomore Lion there. As Hilger going to look to throw, I think Xavier Lackey might have got a paw to that one before it could get to the intended target.
And Xavier Lackey making his presence known on the defensive side of the ball. If he's not in the backfield, he's got a hand up in the face of Rhett Hilger at the line. He's really influencing the game on both sides of the ball right now, and that's all you can ask if you're Coach Willis right now.
Now fourth down as Hilger probably will punt. Looks like Dakota Briggs back deep to return. And that one up in the air, end over end. Briggs will bring it down. And Briggs will get back into Lion territory. Great return there. Almost got that to the line of scrimmage for that play as Vian is just doing what it wants.
Their special teams have also been impressive tonight. They've had a couple returns. You saw Dakota Briggs right there, and then Desean Mays had another one earlier. I'm not totally sure why Gravette's not just punting the ball out of bounds there. You want to take away the big play opportunities if you're the Lions, and like you said, they're back to the line of scrimmage almost there in enemy territory to start this drive.
And watching that kick return, it looked like Briggs running back was actually running back before even some of his blockers were turning around to find a guy in a white jersey to hit.
And not a lot of hang time on that punt right there.
Ramos going to come out slinging, and he'll hit Briggs on the near sideline there. Be brought down by a couple of Lions. Looks like Esteban Pastor and Jordan White will bring down Briggs, but solid pickup there on first down, go into the air.
And likewise with Gravette trying different things on the offensive side of the ball. I wonder if Vian is going to. We've seen a lot of throws from Diego Ramos in the second half thus far. Maybe interesting to see if they're going to try and open up their pass game to see where they stand so far.
They use this second half maybe as a test session, as they'll hand it off to Mays, who's met in the backfield by Kyler Austin again. As again, Mays a little slow to get up. Kyler Austin, last couple of possessions here for the Lions, has really come to play.
Yeah, he's not giving up out there. Gravette not giving up in general, but he's playing every snap like it's an important one, and you're seeing a lot of good mental toughness here from Kyler Austin on that side, on both sides of the ball, really.
And only as a sophomore, so this I can definitely think we can confidently say Kyler Austin will be an important Lion on this team in the future. When his junior year, his senior year, this team might be competing higher up the ranks of the 4A1 back in Arkansas. Giving
it everything, he'll be a name to know in the 4A1 for sure.
Oh, look, miscommunication. Ramos going to have to call his own number. And why not? He'll get a first down and then some. Still fighting. Eventually dropped out of bounds. Broken play to a first down. Diego Ramos, have yourself a night.
He is a great embodiment of what a modern-day quarterback has to be. He's got a solid arm. He's got great pocket presence. But on top of that, he's got enough of a set of legs to be able to run on a broken play like that. That should have been nothing and a sack, and he got a first down out of it. Impressive scramble from him.
If you're Gravette on the other side, you have that broken play. You have a chance to pin this Vian team that doesn't need any help scoring back, and it has to be frustrating to let that one slip through your fingers.
It's really a mental hurdle to get over when you see, okay, we have the quarterback scrambling in the backfield, try and contain him, and then he breaks off a run like that, and that just compiles on each other every play that happens.
Hard run here on the first down will be Gage Carlton, the other running back in that Mays duo. And he'll get near the first down marker as well.
Gage Carlton, a really nice compliment to Desean Mays in that backfield. They're both just solid runners. They're falling forward at every chance they get, and they have a little sneaky speed, both of them do.
Vian going to elect to go to the shotgun. Ramos looking to pass, and that's probably pass number 5 or 6 at Xavier Lackey. That's hit him in the chest and just couldn't bring that one in.
Yeah, seems to be his favorite target tonight. Could be first game jitters for Xavier Lackey. Could be he's playing on both sides of the football. But seems like we've seen great passes to him, and a couple have just been really dropped with no. There was some coverage there, but a couple of them have just been dropped.
We'll see if the Vian coaching staff will work with him, I'm sure, in practice in the coming weeks to help add that element to his game. Hone in on that a little bit. But now it's 3rd down and 2 after that incompletion, and why not just hand it off? That'll be a first down and a lot more for Gage Carlton. As Carlton coming in here on this possession, spelling Mays and taking care of it himself.
And having an experienced offensive line and a running back duo that can get you 5 or 6 each carry is just so invaluable when you're a head coach. Knowing that you don't have to throw in those 3rd and short situations, you can just hand the ball off, ground and pound, and get that first down. Really great asset to have in your back pocket.
First down and goal for the Wolverines back inside the red zone. Ramos looking to the air. That went in and out of the hands of number 23 there, Luis Hernandez, the senior. Could have been an opportunity maybe for Gravette to play on that ball off the tip, but no harm, no foul. We'll reset and have 2nd and goal.
They've had a couple tip drill opportunities there Gravette's defense has and haven't capitalized yet. Really going to be interesting to see if this defense can make a stand here, as they're very far into, or their back is against the wall right now, and really this would be a hard score to come back from.
Ramos will operate from the pistol, fumbles the snap. Ball still on the ground. That's going to be a Gravette Lion recovery. Kristen Thrackle coming out of there, the junior, as Vian couldn't get out of their own way there, and Lions going the other way out of there with it.
I'll chalk that up to the old announcer's jinx, I guess, for Vian, but it was really just did not have a handle on that snap there, and never got a handle on a Gage Carlton, and it was a great pickup by number 50 Christian Thrackle and just good awareness by him to get on that ball. And their Gravette's defense once again gives their offense a chance to go down the field and do something.
That's definitely what you want to see. I guess if while the points aren't on the board, having a defense that can get you stops and keep you competitive in games, the offense will get there.
Ultimately, you want wins on the scoreboard, but you will take those small victories of your defense not giving up. And I think that's the second turnover they've gotten tonight, and it's just been a solid outing by this Gravette defense. Their offense has yet to, in the second half, find a groove, but we'll see here if Red Hilger can get something going.
Yeah, that first down incompletion a little tall there for the intended target, Mason Meeker. As we've seen, a lot of his passes been high tonight. I maybe would count that down to, or chalk that up to first game jitters, playing up against a fantastic defense like Vian.
Yeah, he's young, he's inexperienced, but you have to learn to put a little zip and keep that ball down. Otherwise, you're going to get your receivers in trouble throughout the season.
Well, Austin will rush here on second down, but there's a flag in the backfield. I imagine this will be a holding cannon.
There's not much room behind them right now. You really don't want to be backing up towards that goal line, where any small mistake can cost you a touchdown the other way.
And I don't believe we've had a Xavian Lackey sack in this one, but especially when you get this close down inside your own area, have to keep an eye on 24 in purple.
Absolutely. You have to keep an eye on Lackey, and realistically you have to just almost double team him, because we've seen him in single coverage and not even being picked up. Just get back into that backfield as quickly as you can even get the ball snapped to you. So really important to play some sound, or for some sound blocking here from the Gravette offensive line once we resume.
Yeah, it looks like an injured Lion down on the field, maybe some cramping. Of course, we've mentioned it a few times. It's a very warm night here on this last Friday in August.
Yeah, and this is going to be less and less of a problem as the season progresses, but right now it's just, when we got here today, it's very brutally hot. Very good that these players are playing mostly with the sun down, because if you kick this game off,
and we can even take a look at the weather here. We talked about it in the pregame. Kickoff, it was around 90 degrees, probably felt like 95. Now it's probably in the low 80s, but it's still, there's that humidity in the air that probably is why you're seeing these cramps. The hydration isn't quite there.
And yeah, you throw the padding on and the uniforms, and it's brutally hot down on that field, I'm sure.
Well, second down and a country mile, backed up against their own goal line. Hilger going to scramble, and I believe that's going to be 2 points in favor of the Wolverines. In there for the safety, number 16, Noah Mendoza. Hate to see that in this situation.
Yeah, it's just not a very good situation for this Gravette offensive line, who is still very young, playing against a Vian defensive front that's just been solid all night. Starts with Xavian Lackey, but they have great playmakers on that side of the ball, and it's just an unfortunate thing to have a safety there. Not really enough time for Red Hilger to do much of anything back there. Throw it away, find a receiver, let alone not take a safety.
Well, our score now, Vian ahead by 30 points, 30-0 tonight. Nearing the halfway, or nearing 4.5 minutes, left in the third quarter. We will step away momentarily and have more of the third quarter when we return.
College of Education at Northeastern State University prepares educators, mental health providers, and fitness or health professionals. Choose from degrees in elementary, secondary education, special education, health and human performance, psychology.
Oh, welcome back to Wolverines Stadium. As the Wolverines will get ready to get the free kick out of the safety. As we definitely know what this offense can do, led behind Diego Ramos and Desean Mays.
Really going to be interesting to me with how hot it is and how big of a margin this game is right now as we wind down the third quarter. How long we see the starters, not just for Vian, but for both teams. You really want to rotate as much as possible to keep those cramps and those injuries at bay, and really would be nice to see for some of the younger guys to get some game action, as that will be invaluable down the road.
Well, Red Hilger will send this one skyward. that ball barely rotates. As Dakota Briggs will return, and he'll get brought down by number 32, Esteban Pastor, the sophomore from Gravette. And once again, it sounds kind of a little bit like a broken record, but the Vian Wolverines will have excellent field position to start this offensive drive.
Yeah, Vian's just a solid offense to start with, and then if you're Gravette, you're either kicking it out of bounds or giving it to Dakota Briggs or Desean Mays to return. If you're giving yourself a disadvantage to start on these drives, it's really hard for your defense to come out and make any kind of a stop here. And this is just more of the same, it feels like.
Interestingly, Vian will keep the starters in. And be a pitch to Mays. Flag will come in behind the play, probably a hold, but on the tackle there, Ryder Brown for the Gravette Lions, as that's probably one of the shorter runs that we've seen out of Desean Mays tonight.
Yeah, shorter run, and it's gonna really back him up regardless because of the flag, but honestly kind of shocked to see some of those starters still in there, especially with a couple of them suffering from what seemed like cramps. But Coach Willis knows what he wants. I think he's going to, have a few more drives with their starters and then reassess after that.
Yeah, because don't forget we definitely have a whole nother quarter to play here with about 4:36 to go. And going to be a pitch the other way for Mays, trying to work the far side of the field. And again, Gravette defense will stand strong. I believe once again that's going to be Ryder Brown bringing down Desean Mays.
Yeah, we've seen those few plays from the Gravette defensive front just stopping Mays at or behind the line, and that's been impressive. But they haven't been able to plug up all those holes. And with somebody like the speed of Desean Mays, he's going to make you pay those few times you can't stop him.
Well, now second down and 19.
Really get the feeling that Vian has slowed down the pace and is just going to be a very slow and measured offense in the second half. There's no reason to go fast right now if you're the Wolverines.
Offense right now is definitely not an ostentatious one. Just trying to keep it basic. Pound and ground, and another pitch to Mays. As this time Ryder Brown, is going to be blocked, but Desean will get back to the 40 in Lion territory and make it a manageable third down.
And just another instance of Desean Mays trying to find the edge, and he found it a little bit there and got back into a manageable third down situation for his team. But he is just so speedy that if you give
him any sort
of space, he's gonna take it.
Ramos checks with everybody. And play action here. Lots of green grass. Ramos going to heave this one to the end zone. That one too tall for Dakota Briggs, but it won't matter. Pass interference certainly coming this way. As that's just an unfortunate break there. That ball definitely sails too far in front of Dakota Briggs, but Lions can't not commit the pass interference there.
Yeah, Vian we've seen this several times tonight where they get a nice step on the secondary of Gravette and really get some space there. And I love that throw by Diego Ramos because it's either going to be a catch by his guy or it's going to be incomplete. There's no chance there for Gravette to pick it off. It's a good place to put the ball, and evidently Gravette had to commit pass interference for them to even have a shot at stopping them on Vian's offense.
It's interesting. That was a pass interference, and earlier we saw that one that was definitely a blatant push. Interesting bit of officiating tonight, but we'll let them call their game.
We'll chalk it up to first week for them too. We'll call it technical difficulties.
Well, after the pass interference penalty, the ball now at the Gravette 25. As the home Wolverines will operate from the shotgun. And be a handoff here for Mays. Going to get to the second level. And once again, we'll pick up about 7 or 8 yards on first down.
And you just wonder for how long Gravette's defense is going to be able to keep up any sort of stops. They're not terribly thin, but they don't have a whole lot of depth at any position. They only traveled about 33 players. You can really see the August heat sort of bearing down on this unit.
As we near the 2-minute mark here in the third period of play. Vian back in the pistol. This option again we've seen earlier as Turf Monster tries to get Diego Ramos, but he'll stay on his feet dives for the pylon, and out of bounds at the 1.
Really thought he was going to get in there, but it's an incredible broken play. I think he actually did trip. Maybe he was just trying to trip up the defense there, but again, something out of nothing from Diego Ramos, which is he's just been a very impressive game manager here for Vian.
It'll be 1st and goal. Now for the Wolverines at the 1 foot line, basically. Do you call Xavier Lackey's number here?
I think
put him in there, running back.
I think you're putting it in the chest of Desean Mays. He's giving you no reason not to, or you could do Diego Ramos quarterback draw.
Well, it'll be Desean Mays, and he'll be short, I believe. No signal yet. Hey, Gravette going to hold on 1st and goal. Defense standing strong.
May or may not need 3 plays, but I think 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down, you're just going to see a run by Mays, and if it gets to be 4th down, maybe you see a Xavier Lackey run, or you give it to Diego Ramos and let him try and do something with his legs.
Late sub here for Gravette. Looks like that was number 3, Joe Drake. Handoff again for Mays, and this time he will get into the end zone for pay dirt. And that'll make our score 36-0. Here's Desean Mays. Will have his shortest touchdown run of the night.
Yeah, and just another impressive, fundamentally sound run from Desean Mays. You can see him just wait for his line to give him just a little bit of an opening, and that's all he needed to get in the end zone from maybe 2 feet out from the end zone. And just an impressive showing from this Vian running back.
Well, Mendoza on for the extra point. It's up and good. Our score 37-0. As Vian continues to pour it on here with a minute or so to go in the 3rd quarter. Have to say here at Wolverine Stadium, it's a great ad, that train horn. You don't get that at a lot of places.
No, you don't. You get that at most NHL hockey arenas, and that's about it. But it's a good add to the environment here.
Well, when we return, kickoff, our score, Vian 37, Gravette nothing. They'll look to get on the scoreboard with this next offensive possession.
Some might say I'm an ideas guy. I'd like to think of myself more as a doer. I like to make things happen, both for myself and for the people my businesses serve. Signature Bank has been crucial in that for me, from starting my moving businesses to expanding into mobile minis, all the way to our current office and warehouse space. Signature has advised and supported me every step of the way.
Well, welcome back here to Wolverine Stadium as we're set to kick off with a minute left to go or so in the 3rd quarter. Make sure to stick around after the game when we bring you the Todd's Coffee Roasters post-game show. We'll try to have player of the game interview for you, as well as an interview with the winning coach tonight, as that one might not be too hard of a guess at this point in time, as we'll have a whistle on the kickoff. But definitely stick around to see who we announce as our player of the game. Lots of great candidates tonight, whether it be Desean Mays, Xavier Lackey, Diego Ramos. Definitely has his name in consideration. Lots of standout players for the Wolverines. Of course, there's a whole other quarter of play left to go. The story's yet to be written, so we could see what Gravette might have in store.
Yeah, it's been impressive tonight to watch Vian on all fronts in the offensive side of the ball. We knew coming in their defense was going to play just sound fundamental football. As you can see, they're shutting out Gravette right now, but their offense has been just equally, if not more, impressive.
We'll have a re-kick here from Mendoza for the Wolverines. Like we said at the top of the show, of course, these two teams played each other last year, Vian winning 26-8. Looking at the scoreboard, would you say this is maybe more of a situation where Vian is just that much of a better team than last year as compared to Gravette has regressed that much?
I think it's probably more of a... I mean, Vian is just such a solid team. You're in and out as we see the kick go in the end zone. Vian is just the epitome of success. 9-10 wins a season. Meanwhile, Gravette's just trying to find their footing. They're young. They have 3 seniors on this team completely, and a lot of their players are playing both ways. So really difficult to say, but I think Vian is just such a good team that it's hard to find anything to beat them on any front.
Definitely, the goal this season is state championship.
I think that's fair to say. I think Vian could make a run. They're from what we've seen tonight, there's no reason they shouldn't. They have a solid quarterback. Their defense has been sound, and even their special teams, their return game has been great. No reason they should not be there at the end of the season come November and December.
Well, Lions, another offensive possession here. And there's going to be a new running back in the ballgame. That's Josiah McGee, number 42, a sophomore, with the handoff there. And he'll fight to get back to the original line of scrimmage as we go under a minute to play in the quarter.
And you really just, if you're Gravette, need to start figuring out ways to try some new things on offense, maybe see what clicks and what doesn't. This is, granted, going to be one of the better defenses you see all season, but if you can, sort of find some positives for Monday's film session, that's all the better here.
And it'll be another handoff for McGee as he'll be brought down by Tristan Wiley. There, I believe, the freshman getting some snaps here in the third quarter.
And that's where we're at at this point in the game. Both sides of the ball, you're going to see some younger guys, I think, get some experience, and this will be valuable down the road if their number's called. I think we have a timeout here.
Yeah, it looks like going to be a timeout. Can't imagine really what for. Well, actually, I suppose now that the point differential is more than 35, this is a situation where we'll have a running clock the rest of the way in this one. As the final horn will sound here for the third quarter. Our score here in Vian, the home team in the purple, up 37-0 on the visiting Gravette Lions. Fourth quarter when we return.
My name's Todd Harden, and I am Todd's Coffee. The reason I do this to begin with is because I really want people to experience coffee. What I'm doing and what other roasters are doing as well is, we're trying to figure out what the bean is trying to tell us. My goal and my customer really is, there's probably 2 out of 10 people that could taste the difference in one of my better roasts versus an average roast. If I can make those people happy, I'm making everybody happy. And so that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to roasting. You can just go to toddscoffee.com. You can get a whole bean, or I'll grind it for you. Either way, there'll be a drop down in there that you can order it that way. So order some coffee.
Well, welcome back here for the fourth quarter of action. And it's off to a positive start for the Gravette Lions as Carl Bontrager will pick up a first down.
I think if you can take any sort of positive away if you're a Gravette Lion, it's that this run game has been just solid tonight, whether it's Bontrager or whether it's Kyler Austin in the backfield. It has just been they're falling forward, they're running after the point of contact. These are fundamentals you can build upon down the stretch of the season.
And again to Bontrager here as he'll pick up another good yardage run here. As have a little bit of pushing and shoving there on the backside of the play. Wolverine and the Lion going down to the ground. Looks like that was starting offensive lineman Sam Mayo, number 77, getting involved out there with the defensive back for Vian.
Yeah, as the game wears on, there's a little bit of trash talk here and there, and I think I saw some tempers flare there maybe, but no flag by the referee, so just let them play on. Seems like both teams have really slowed down this pace here in the second half. Going very slow and methodical.
Definitely trying to make sure everything's done right, as that'll be 5 free yards and a first down there, as looks like Braven Muntz. Actually, no, it's going to be on Gravette. That's unfortunate for them. Kind of hinders this drive that Bontrager had been putting together on his own legs.
And that's one of the things, if you're, if you're a coach, it just drives you insane as you see 2 great runs by Bontrager, and then your offense just negates that with a penalty.
Another rush here as the Lions find to keep it on the ground. That'll be Josiah McGee once again, and he'll pick up a handful of yards.
Yeah. Haven't seen a large number of substitutes yet. I mean, really going to be interesting to see if they stick with this core of players. There's only 10.5 minutes left on a running clock now, so I guess there's no reason why you wouldn't, but maybe some guys you want to get some action for.
And looking at the other side of the ball for Vian, it does look like they've subbed out a lot of their starters, if not all of them. As coming in through the hole, that going to be Braven Muntz. Great play there for the senior. And this will make it a long 4th down, as unfortunately for Lions fans, that's kind of been the MO of this evening.
A couple good runs, then a penalty, and then suddenly you're in 3rd and long, and you're having to have Red Hilger try and use his arm to bail you out, and that's just, it's hard when you're playing a defense as sound as this one. And he's put a lot of air under his balls that he's thrown, and just been sort of a hard night if you're the quarterback for the Lions.
Hilger to punt, and he'll kick this one mile in the air towards us, and will hop out of bounds near the Vian 40-yard line. Looks like they'll probably give him the 42 or so, and that'll be where the offense for the Wolverines will take over. We'll see. Surely they can't keep. I don't figure they keep the starters in, being up 37-0 now at this point, running clock.
You saw Desean Mays have some cramps earlier in the half, and he's going to be an invaluable asset if you're going to run to a title. I think he's probably done. And then it doesn't look like Diego Ramos is out there either. Looks like that'll be a different quarterback.
Well, let's see. Count up the substitutions. New quarterback looks like going to be Nathan Creasy. And the running back will be Bryson Pack, number 33. Definitely keep a close eye on these youngsters, as this will be the future of Vian Wolverine football one day.
And these blowouts, as they are unfortunate, they're good for both sides, and that you get some young guys some action. You kind of see where you're at in the 2nd and 3rd strings of your positions, and realistically, it's good that you don't have anyone on the starting lineup injured. You can get out of here and with a win and be healthy.
The play will come in. That's something unique here. You don't see a lot in high school football very much, but the play comes from the sideline. Player brings it out. A lot of times tonight we've seen Diego Ramos come to the sideline, get a play call. Is that ball going to be snapped with 1 second left on the play clock? A little bit of an alley here for the Vian Wolverines. Still running will be Bryson Pack. Great run there, showing he's got some wheels as well.
This Vian running back core seems to be very deep, as a nice run by Bryson Pack there, just letting his line do all the work and then break out. And as you see, a couple, little stiff arms right there, and he's falling forward too. So just another impressive run here from Vian.
Let's take another look. Or we saw another look at it. It'll be 1st down and 10 now, back inside Gravette territory. As Wolverines going to have to go fast if they want to avoid a delay game. I don't think they got there.
And that looks like a product of just a bunch of young guys on the field not really seeing where the game clock is. It's a good chance to get that ironed out.
Actually, it looks like they got there. They just weren't set, and a false start will be ultimately what puts them behind on the penalty marker. Makes it 1st down and 15. As we're at the 8-minute mark here. Another handoff here for Pack, as he's going to try and bounce it outside. Another flag will come in. Imagine it'll be a hold. Normally when it comes from the white hat behind the play, that's what it'll be. One of those big hog mollies on the offensive line, grabbed a handful of jersey, and just can't do that.
And just something that both teams really need to clean up going forward. It seems like there's been a lot of penalties on both sides. That's an easy fix if you're either of these head coaches in practice this week.
Well, 1st and 15 is now going to be first and from the 50, as the Vian's going to have to get down to about the Gravette 25 or so, taking this snap almost from Interstate 40.
Going to be interesting to see if Coach Willis lets Nathan Creasy throw the ball here at all. No real reason to put it in the air right now. Just want to keep that clock running and feed your run game.
Well, again, it'll be that patented pitch out that we've seen multiple times for Desean Mays, but this will be Pack with it, and Pack will get back inside the sticks, pick up all the penalty yardage, and then some. Strong run here by Bryson Pack.
You see this offense with Coach Willis is just, and Vian is, it's not flashy and it's not anything to behold, but it's solid. They run the pitch well, they run the option well, and they run just a run up the middle very well. And when you have talented running backs in the backfield, it really helps.
They run their offense well.
They run their offense well. They're solid fundamental offense.
And sometimes fundamentals is all you need, especially in a game like this. You're up 37-0. Second stringer in.
There's going to be instances this season where Vian just all they have to do is not beat themselves.
Another pitch play for Pack, as it's worked the last couple of times. Why not run it once more? Penalty marker on the far side is game getting a little sloppy here, Cannon.
Yeah, and that'll happen when you get second and third stringers in there. Just tempers are flaring. It's towards the end of the game. Not really sure what the call was there. Another holding call on Vian.
Just chalk that one up, I think, too. The inexperienced players getting some action. Of course, when you run those pitch plays, that defense is flowing the other way. A little easier to grab that jersey.
Hard not to grab, yeah.
It'll be second down. And about 21 here for the Wolverines, as the clock continues to roll here near the 6-minute mark, halfway through the final quarter of this one. As Creasy just intent on staring at that play clock on the other end of the field.
I think it run down as far as he possibly can without a penalty.
And Pack again, the handoff. And not much going there. He'll pick up a handful, shortest run I think he's had tonight.
Yeah, and he got out there with no protection, really, and seemed like Gravette really just swarmed him there. But not really much you can or should do right now. Don't need to do too much here. Don't need to throw an interception or an incompletion. It's just Vian really running the clock and getting some snaps in for some younger guys.
As we near the 5:30 mark to go in the quarter, in the game, as a matter of fact. Wolverines will break the huddle with 10 seconds on the play clock. As Brannick, now the running back here for the Wolverines, going to try and cut it back. Nearly worked there, but Carl Bontrager will put his mitts on number 5, Jacob Brannick, and I'll force a first fourth down that the Wolverines have had in quite some time, Cannon.
Yeah, they've been on schedule for the most part and really hasn't resulted in any fourth downs, let alone a fourth and a mile here. So it'll be interesting to see if they punt the ball away, take this chance to maybe give Creasy a chance to throw the ball. Really, a lot of options here if you're the Wolverines.
And most importantly, the clock continues to run. So we near 4:40 left in the ball game. As Vian going to operate under center again. And a flag on the play. And we'll have a false start, and we'll re-rack and try again.
And this country mile just became a little longer.
As that clock is stopped right at the 4:30 mark. Makes this a 4th and 22. And the clock rolls again.
Saw Creasy come over to get another play. Going to be interesting to see if they just stick with what they just had, which was a pitch, or if they're going to shake it up a little bit.
Well, they're going to have to go fast as, again, running deep into the play clock. 3 seconds to go. And it'll be a pitch out. And Lions will have the football back as Jacob Brannick couldn't do anything there on that 4th and 22. Probably wasn't even designed to get anywhere near. You don't normally run a pitch play on a 4th and 22. Just at this point, I think it's see what you have and call it and have a good night.
Yeah, if he breaks off a long run, that's great. If not, you're just seeing if you can, keep the ball secure and really just trying to get those fundamentals down for your offense, or for your second string offense, that is. No real reason to put it in the air there. No real reason to punt. Just perfecting that ground game, really.
Well, Kobe Bohannon will keep Rhett Hilger in at quarterback, but looks like a lot of the names and faces around him have changed. As it going to be a McGee handoff, and he'll fall forward or get pulled backward more or less and pick up about 6.
It's another solid run from a Gravette running back. That seems to have been the story all night, and then they end up doing something to hurt themselves in a yardage way. But I've been really impressed with the Gravette running back core. It's been very solid. Been a bright spot that you can build on going into next week.
As Gravette also content to just let the play clock roll down. As Hilger going to drop back to pass. And that one going to one hop in front of his intended receiver, Jackson Galen, the junior.
You can really see him trying to tool in his mind what's too much air underneath a ball, and then that one just one hopped his receiver. He's really trying to figure out that good release point to get it to his guys.
And McGee won't have any chance to do anything there. As coming in there, looks like that's going to be Clayton Clark shooting through the gap and brings down McGee in the backfield.
Another impressive play from Vian's front defensive line. It's been a clinic really on the defensive side of the ball for them tonight, and just impressive to watch.
No, 4th down and 7 here. And a punt from Hilger. And that one going to be through the hands for Vian for Michael Moore, but he'll pick it up. Pops back out. Michael Moore probably going to be working on some ball security at practice this week for the Wolverines, but Gravette gets extra life here, tries to get the goose egg off the scoreboard.
Really going to be a good chance. Looks like they're about inside the 20-yard line, so red zone offense here for them. And, Michael Moore, just a building block right there. Really fundamentally got to either let that ball bounce and secure the ball if you're going to pick it up, too.
Lions going to huddle on their own sideline over there. 2:15 left to go in this one. Our score, as you can see, 37-0 in favor of the Wolverines. It was 21-0 at the half.
Going to be interesting to see which one of these two prevail, because Vian does not want to give that shutout up, and Gravette doesn't want to take the 2-hour ride home knowing that they got completely shut out. We'll see which one prevails here.
Hilger just going to keep it himself, show off his wheels, looking for the end zone, and he will be within a couple of yards there. Touchdown saving tackle for the Wolverines.
And to me, that almost looked like a broken play at the start. It looked like he was looking for his running back there and couldn't find it. But Rhett Hilger showing off his wheels right there. That was an impressive run. If it was a scramble, it was a good scramble, and if it was designed, it was a good design.
I'm sure Kelby Bohannon will take note as McGee will get the ball. We'll check see. Nope, we'll be short of the goal line. I'm sure Coach Bohannon will take note, see what Hilger has there, and maybe design some things later in the season to get his athlete in space.
Yeah, I mean, with the quarterback position, you want to give him as much of a chance to run the ball as you can. You also obviously don't want to get him hurt or injured, but if you've got speed like that, there's no reason you shouldn't.
McGee again stopped at the line of scrimmage little bit of extracurricular going on there between a couple of players far side of the field, but Vian defense not making this easy.
Inside, let's call it the 2-3 yard line right there, just bending but not breaking. This Vian defense has been impressive so far. You feel like you're going to get 2 more runs too from Gravette unless they put it on the ground here. So we'll see if the Wolverines can withhold that.
Well, ultimately, we're under a minute, so got to go fast. Is Hilger going to be dropped in the backfield there by Carson Wright, the senior? Big step in the wrong direction, as it looked like Hilger maybe was trying to do a little bit too much on that play.
And see, that's been the story all night for this Gravette Lions team, is that you have a great, brilliant play by Red Hilger with that broken run, get him down inside the 1 yard line, and then seems like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, is now they're near the 10 yard line for 4th down.
17 seconds left on the play clock when they snap it. That ball tossed to the end zone. I don't see a flag there, Cannon. I believe that'll be a turnover on downs, as that'll be the last bit for any hope of Gravette points there.
Looks like there was a flag. He might have picked it up. Not sure what's going on here.
No, it looks like it's just a simple turnover on downs. 13 seconds left on the game. Well, actually, no, I believe you're correct, Ken. There was a pass interference or something was in there. Didn't really get a call from
one more chance here.
The White Hat, but yeah, one more chance here. Power draw for Hilger, and he will be short of the end zone. I believe that will be the final play in this one. We'll see if they'll let the clock run all the way down. And indeed, the final horn will sound. Our final here from Vian. The Wolverines pitch a shutout in the season opener. A dominant 37-0 victory over the Gravette Lions of Northwest Arkansas. There's a little bit more train horn for measure, as the Vian Wolverines fittingly, I think, played like a freight train tonight.
They played like a freight train. They were fundamentally sound on all 3 fronts. The offense just seemed more impressive than anything else. Their defense just playing sound defense and pitching a shutout here tonight. But a lot to be proud of if you're a Vian Wolverine.
Well, again, our final here, Vian Wolverines 37, visiting Gravette Lions 0. They'll do it for us here. Vian improves to 1-0 on the season. Gravette will go home on the bus with 1 loss on the year. Both will be in action next week, as the Gravette Lions will take on the Inola Longhorns of Inola, Oklahoma. And the Gravette Lions, the Vian Wolverines will be on the road to take on the Eufaula Ironheads next week. That'll
Hi, Peyton Hillis here for Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing. I've scored for the Hogs and for the NFL, but now my whole family has scored big finding this amazing store. Ozark Sportsman has everything a sportsman wants. The best firearm selection and gun safe choices anywhere in Northwest Arkansas. And a 15-lane indoor range and so much more. Ozark Outpost Clothing has all the hot boutique brands for women. And hey guys, our favorite brands also. Score big savings on top brands and follow me to Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Stoops. I'd like to introduce you to Southern Sports Network, as they will broadcast high school sports for Catoosa, Chickasaw, Vian, Inola, and Green Forest. Download the SSN app and like them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Boomer Sooner to everybody.
We are computer science pros, chemists and lab technicians, health professionals, mathematicians, and science educators. We are the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions at Northeastern State University. Choose from degrees in natural sciences, health and pre-health professions, mathematics and computer science, and more. Discover the possibilities at Northeastern State University.
Having a body is tough. Exercising, sports, work, and life itself can leave you feeling tense at any age. The Trainer's Table is here for you. No appointments or memberships needed because you can't always plan ahead for when you're physically sore. The Trainer's Table. Let us stretch you.
Southern Sports Network here in Vian, Oklahoma. Right now, here beside me, I have number 10, Diego Ramos, the quarterback for the Wolverines. Diego, it was a great game all around by your team. It seemed like about halfway through the first quarter and then early in the second quarter, you guys really found your momentum and found what was working on offense. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, in the beginning, we weren't getting in the right spot. We weren't getting our blocks, and so we had an adjustment. We fixed on the right side, and so we started getting the hooks, and we started getting the run plays down, and the pass plays, we started running deeper routes, and started getting it down.
It seemed like the more that your running back and fullback were having success, it started to open up the passes, and we saw a beautiful pass that you sent downfield. Is it Xander?
That's Dakota Briggs.
Dakota Briggs. Okay, I thought. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yes. Dakota Briggs there at the end of the second half to set up the second score.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about the performance moving forward? Are you guys ready to go to Eufaula next week?
Yes, sir. We are. We prepared a lot. We've upped our pass game a lot. We've been a run team the past few years, but the pass game is coming along, and I think we'll be ready for Eufaula.
All right. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come in and sit down with us.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take a quick break. We will have the coach here for a brief interview after this commercial break. Thank you.
At NWA Getaways Dream Vacations, our goal is to relieve our clients of the vacation planning stress, as well as ensure that they get the best value for their investment. We love making suggestions that take their vacations from what they request to a level beyond their dreams. Our perfect client is that busy professional who wants to relax with friends and family, but doesn't want the stress of planning for it. I'm Debbie Corwin with NWA Getaways Dream Vacations, where we make your dream vacation a reality.
In 1851, the Cherokee ignited the lamp of learning in the wilderness. The lamp burns brightly still.
Back here, as this one's gone final, you just heard from Brady talk to winning quarterback Mr. Ramos for the Vian Wolverines. Final score 37-0. Vian moves to 1-0 on the season. Of course, it's week 0. Gravette will fall to 0-1. Both teams will look to bounce back on the road. Like Brady mentioned towards the end, Eufaula is next for Vian. For Gravette, they're going to hit the road and go to Inola, so they're going to return back to the Sooner State for their next game, and a lot to work on, being shut out pretty handily for the Lions. I mean, Brady, the first half, it very easily could have been 14-0 going to the locker room. Turns out to be 37-0. Second half, very different tale than the first half.
Yeah, Vian really found their identity on offense. They figured it out. They got the ground game going. It opened up some good plays downfield, and they were able to put some points on the board and capitalize on that. They learned a lot about themselves today. Their defense is still for real. I mean, last year, they averaged 10 points a game. Tonight, they gave up 0. Last year in this game, they gave up 6. So that's a pretty good start for this defense. They put up 37, a little shy of their 43.4 average, but you can never be upset with a 37-0 blowout at home to open the season.
I don't think so. And the fans here were lively. The bands were rocking, and people were walking around. And it was a good atmosphere, just plain and simple, for Vian, a city of just over 1,000 people. Felt like a large portion of the city was here, which I always love to see. The first Friday of the football season, the last Friday of August. So football season has immenced, and it has kind of brought itself to light here. So it's always good to see. Looking forward for Vian, you play Eufaula, Gravette for Inola, two pretty good teams that both teams will have to manage. For Vian, you have to go to the road for the first time. The road can be so much different than home. And I think for Vian, you would like to keep this momentum going. How do you sustain that momentum going forward?
So it's every game's a new week. This one's 37-0, but it's over. Celebrate it tonight and move on to Eufaula tomorrow. Eufaula, I don't know if they played tonight or not. I don't
believe so.
But so they're going to have that in their back pocket as a little bit of an advantage that they did have this week 0 game to find those kinks and find those little things that they needed to work on and tweak to get that offense in the end zone. Because early on, they were moving the ball, but the drives just weren't finishing. A penalty this or would happen here or something would happen there. And they'd turn the ball over on downs, going for it on fourth, or some kind of small mishap would happen. So that resolved itself throughout the game as they found rhythm and found the confidence and just kind of started playing with a little bit of swagger while they pitched a shutout tonight. And I think that will carry over into next week's ball game.
We will see, and the Coach Willis will be joining us here in a moment. So we're going to step aside for a quick break. Coach Willis will take my spot, so Brady will get to talk to him for a second. We'll be right back here on the Southern Sports Network.
The College of Liberal Arts at Northeastern State University is innovative, engaging, life-changing, empowering. Choose from undergraduate and graduate degrees in the arts and fine arts, languages, criminal justice, social work, and more. Be inspired at Northeastern State University.
Some might say I'm an ideas guy. I'd like to think of myself more as a doer. I like to make things happen, both for myself and for the people my businesses serve. Signature Bank has been crucial in that for me, from starting my moving businesses to expanding into mobile minis, all the way to our current office and warehouse space. Signature has advised and supported me every step of the way.
All right, we are back here on the Southern Sports Network. Here beside me, we have the head coach of the Vian Wolverines, Mr. Gary Willis. Gary, your team pitched a great shutout today. What did you see in your team performance-wise, and what things you see that you guys could work on moving forward into next week at Eufaula?
Oh, a lot of things. First of all, the defense played really well, like you said, getting the shutout. Hats off to them and the defensive staff. Offensively, I felt like we left a lot of points. You got to be happy with it. 37-0 over a good team, and Coach does a good job over there. They're really coached up. But as a play caller on offense, we left some plays out there, and, silly mistakes, easy to correct, but at the same time, just kill drives and that kind of thing. So that's something we need to work on, just playing every play, regardless of the score. And we left some points out there.
Yeah, early in the first quarter, it did seem like, the ball was moving, but then something would happen and stall that drive, and the momentum would kind of slow down a little bit. But in the second quarter, the running back duo you have, we call them like a 1-2 punch.
Right.
We had number 6 and number 20. One of them was just really good power runner, really physical. The other one was real shifty and make guys miss on the outside.
Yep.
And that really opened up more of the playbook, it seemed, as the game went on, and allowed you guys to finish those drives and find your identity here tonight.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. And, we went in with the plan on playing the sorry, my mind's blank. Desean Mays, number 20. He's the speed back, but game plan. I mean, they game planned, and it opened up the other. And the other one's more of a physical inside runner, and that's what we just kind of, like you say, went back and forth, mixed the pass in a little bit to keep them off balance, and happy with the win. A lot of things to work on, but hey, week 1 you'll take it. In this heat, last year at Gravette we had all kinds of cramps, so kind of pleased with conditioning. A little more this year than this time last year.
Absolutely, and the weather actually tonight, normally August, Oklahoma, seems like inevitably on a Friday night it's 105 heat index, and I feel like the weather was a lot more cooperative with us tonight.
Yeah, it was.
Congratulations again, Coach, on the week 0 win here, on the shutout. That defense played amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
And guys, we'll be back just to wrap this up here tonight, here in just a moment after this commercial break. Coach Willis, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Peyton Hillis here for Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing. I've scored for the Hogs and for the NFL, but now my whole family has scored big finding this amazing store. Ozark Sportsman has everything a sportsman wants, the best firearm selection and gun safe choices anywhere in Northwest Arkansas, and a 15-lane indoor range and so much more. Ozark Outpost Clothing has all the hot boutique brands for women, and hey guys, our favorite brands also. Score big savings on top brands and follow me to Ozark Sports Supply and Casual Clothing.
We are computer science pros, chemists and health professionals, mathematicians, and science educators. We are the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions at Northeastern State University. Choose from degrees in health and pre-health professions, mathematics, and computer science.
Back here, as this one has gone, finally just heard from Coach Willis and Mr. Brady over here talking about the final. Pretty impressive, no matter what, to pitch a shutout, and that's always something very difficult to do. And I think, and Coach Willis hit on it, defense coming up big, and when you can shut out a team to start the season, I don't think that really shows how impressive that is. So you have to make all the right adjustments. You have to get the right film study, which is a lot. There's not a lot to go off, but Brady, I think you can test this. Anytime you can shut out a team, no matter who the opponent is, it's always impressive.
We talked about it every time we had the opportunity and what adjustments needed to be made, and talked about that Vian defense and how that Gravette needed to find a way to give that quarterback more time. And it just didn't happen. The pressure mix-up was great all evening, coming from all different directions in the quarterback's face, and that contributed greatly to that shutout because they did try to sling the ball around today instead of leaning on the run, which really surprised me with a new quarterback. Like the coach said, he was happy with his defensive performance, and how could you not be? The biggest key takeover I got from him in my interview moving forward to next week was, if I could say in one word, was finish. We talked about how they moved the ball well and then the drive stalled, whether it be a penalty or a small mistake that was made. He felt like at 37-0 that they left a lot of points out there on the field, and after watching the game, I really agree with him.
And, I think coaches will nitpick at this point, and they will do whatever they can to kind of take what they can and hit home. We do make note, we will be back in action next week. And it's going to be Hugo and Chickataw next week, so watch out for that one. Should be a fun one out there. That about wraps it up for the Southern Sports Network post-game show. Reminder, this one has gone final. 37-0. Vian moves to 1-0 on the season. Gravette will look to bounce back next week. Both teams back in action, hitting the road. Vian will be at Eufaula, and Gravette will be at